Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by the fun Robert Meyer Burnett.
So much fun.
The fun Jonathan Voico.
More funner, more cooler.
And the funner Chris Carr.
The funnest, if you will.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show a part of your day. And here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, well, that's where we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or topic you'd like us to address, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on in to our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news about the tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to our podcast, say either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a tip question, even if we're not live. And if you send one in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started with this, shall we?
Yeah.
You know, it's not unusual for Hollywood people to also get side businesses. You know, I think George Clooney has Smokehouse Restaurant. And I think he also had his own tequila.
Yeah, Casamigos, something like that.
That's right. That a lot of
Casamigos.
people like. It seemed to be the thing. Well, there may not have been a more successful dude in Hollywood doing side businesses than Ryan Reynolds. I mean, he bought Mint Mobile, ran that for a while, then sold a majority stake in it for about 5 times what he bought it for. Then there was, of course, Aviation Gin, and here's the special Deadpool
It's
version
so
of
good.
it. It's from what I'm told by my alcohol drinking friends, including my wife and Chris Carr, it's very good.
It is good.
Class
Yeah.
B smoke glass.
Yeah.
But then I believe he sold the majority stake in that
He did.
for like 7 or 8 times what he bought it for. And then there's Wrexham. One of my most charmingly delightful shows on TV last few years has been Welcome to Wrexham. And listen, I'm not a soccer guy. I'm a big sports fan, but I'm not a soccer guy. And Ted Lasso and Welcome to Wrexham got me interested in soccer. But the brilliant thing about Welcome to Wrexham was that the soccer team was kind of story B. Story A was that town.
Yeah.
And they just made this show in such a way that made me fall in love with that town. And I found myself cheering for the team because I wanted the people of that town to be happy. It just does something like that. It's the magic of sports, folks. And so they just pulled off something that, from what I've been told, again, I don't have in-depth knowledge of this, has never been done. They achieved promotion 3 years in a row. They're now going to play in the Champions League next year. Well, as season 4 of Welcome to Wrexham has just gotten started, according to the Hollywood Reporter, news has now come out today that Welcome to Wrexham has now officially been renewed for season 5.
And I believe the women's soccer spinoff.
Well, yes, they get the spinoff, and I cannot pronounce it, but McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds have now partnered with Eva Longoria, and they now are co-owners of another team. What's it called now? Here again.
It's right up there.
Club Necaxa? I'm sure I'm mispronouncing.
Nikaha.
Nikaha?
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, again, I'm sure I don't know how to pronounce that properly.
I'm probably wrong too. I think
so
I only got a couple of the right pronunciations.
That club, again, same thing, only now it's a Mexican city, I believe. A small Mexican city with a soccer club and stuff like that, and they're going to try to replicate the success they've had with Wrexham, and that's going to have its own series next year as well. So Welcome to Wrexham gets a season 5. And again, guys, you don't have to be into sports, and if you are into sports, you don't even have to be into soccer. Welcome to Wrexham is just a delightful show.
Yeah.
But I was mentioning a little bit earlier the business prowess of Ryan Reynolds, you know, bought Mint Mobile, sold for a whole bunch more, bought Aviation and others. Do you know that he and Rob McElhenney bought the Wrexham club for $5 million? You know what it was valued at last month? $100 million is now the value of that club.
That's some Dr. Evil stuff right there.
I just somehow, some way, this goofball finds a way to ass backwards fall into these business deals where he buys these things, blows their value up, and then is able to sell them and walk away. He did it with Mint. He did it with
that. I mean,
aviation.
honestly, that doesn't really even count the value of like tourism that's come to the city and and what the city itself is now worth.
Oh yeah, how much the town has benefited.
Right.
The town of Wrexham has benefited.
Yeah.
Is incalculable. But just for Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, the way they've shaped and crafted and steered this thing, they took their $5 million investment and turned it into a $100 million club, which, by the way, once they start playing in the Champions League, that value is only going to go up.
Right. They
So-
also have more money coming to them too because of that.
Because of the different arrangements there. So anyway, Rob, are you surprised? Like, I'll be honest with you, I am surprised Wrexham got picked up. Like, I think it's a delightful show, but I didn't think this was a conceit that could stretch into 5 seasons, and yet I'm still hooked. Are you surprised to hear this news? What do you think?
No, I'm not surprised to hear the news because like you know, I started watching this show the first season, and I think like you, it was about that town, and there was much more of a story happening than just a football club.
Yeah.
You know, and I think in a way that's something else that's added to the value of their purchase of Wrexham. 5 seasons of a TV show has its own value. And in a way, that value is only going to go up. I mean, the only thing I hear about, I don't know anything about British football. The only thing I know, I get updates from my friend Ellie, who's a huge Tottenham Hotspurs fan, and they just had a glorious victory. It'd be like the Maple Leafs winning the Stanley Cup.
Doesn't
Which they did.
I think Alistair Strong owns that, right?
Yeah, Alistair Strong owns Tottenham Hotspurs. Yeah. But that's all I know.
Alistair Stout.
And
Sorry.
what I don't understand is the different levels. Like, is Arsenal and Man United?
Those are Premier.
They're in the Premier
They're
League.
the
That's
Premier
the
League.
top league.
So
Yeah.
what did Tottenham win? Like,
I don't know
Might
where-
have been the
how are they
champion?
related to?
Might
I
have
gotta
been the
call Ellie.
Championship
She's probably
League?
sending me a text right
'Cause
now.
the
Going,
Premier
you don't know
League's top.
anything, you dumb American.
The next one down is the Championship League.
Okay.
And then you got League One, League Two, and I think then where Wrexham started off. So the Wrexham started down this very, very low league. They got promoted again, and now they just got promoted again to the Championship League. If they get promoted again, then they'll be up there with Manchester and
Right.
whatever. So
Right. Now, what's Crystal Palace?
From what I can see, it's Premier.
Didn't they just win
the
something?
last I heard, it was a strip club in Venice, but I have no idea.
They're like an old school.
No, hey.
At Disney, it's where you can have breakfast for Winnie the Pooh.
The Century, Paul Jenkins.
Rob,
is a Crystal Palace fan.
Tottenham is Premier League. So
Tottenham's Premier.
Oh, they are Premier.
So they just won.
Did they win the Premier League?
Yeah, I think they did. And Marina
I don't know
Sirtis was
anything
there.
about
She said
it.
it's like the thing. She's been a fan since like 1966.
There you go.
Deanna Troy. They have. I got a video with her. Ellie sent it to me
Yeah, that's
yesterday.
that's the big
Marina
leagues,
Sirtis
man.
At the Great Victory, she was on. She goes, "I'm Marina Sirtis from Star Trek, and I've been wanting this since 1966."
Well, good for them. I can kind of relate to that feeling, except I never will. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this? Are you surprised it's getting a 5th season? It doesn't make sense. I don't know. How do you
Oh,
see
it totally makes sense that they're getting a 5th season. People keep tuning in. I keep tuning in. And as you all know, I do not understand sport in any way, shape, or form. It confuses me so much. I have that shirt still, the Yay Sports Ball. So I find this show so charming because it's helped me understand the fandom behind this kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's Comic-Con people and sports people are the same. There is a lovely Venn diagram of body paint and cheering that we both all share. So, you know, we're all the same at the end of the day. I love, love, love that this show has made me understand that so much. And I really love, particularly this season right now, how they're talking so much about really backing the infrastructure of this town. Because that's another thing I didn't understand going into this, of how much like as this team grows, this town needs to grow. Otherwise, it's going to crumble into itself.
Right.
And that's one of the really charming things about this, too. We've fallen in love with these people, and now we're seeing this town really rise up and get the benefits it deserves of having such an amazing team. So I completely understand more people watching it. And also, there's this weird inception of advertising that they all own or are tied to as you watch this show with Stout and Mint Mobile and then like HP printers and everything. It's genius. It is marketing genius. Oh, man.
Make no mistake, though, the other team fans in the United Kingdom that are whether they
it.
Oh, they
whether they were
hate
in
it.
League One, League Two, the
it.
national, the championship, they're like,
Yeah.
screw Wrexham and everything. Like, oh, they hate their success.
Well, I mean, again, as far far as I know, again, forgive me if I'm incorrect, but I don't think it's ever been done before. The 3 years in a row being promoted. I don't think they'll do 4, but oh my God, if they did.
And to have a sports team, the idea of having built-in promotion, because, sports teams always have on their jerseys, they have
corporate sponsorship. So the whole thing is what a great racket to get into. We should buy a sports team.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. It would have to probably be, the 7th grade T-ball team up the street. I think it's about as much as we can afford.
You can't buy kids, guys. That's illegal. I just want to put that out there.
But what I used to play,
just to be clear,
just
no
wanna be-
misunderstanding.
Just so you know, Chris, times are changing.
Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you watching Wrexham? If not, again, I cannot stress this enough. You don't have to be a sports fan. You just got to be a fan of really good human stories. And that's what this show does. Anyway, it gets renewed for season 5. How do you feel about that? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right. With that down, let's move on to this. When they announced Karate Kid's Legends, I said, why are you doing this? Like, really? And then I saw this big presentation they did at CinemaCon for it. And I got won over. I'm like, you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing this. And I think this Ben Wang kid, he's going to be a superstar, all this kind of stuff. Well, the full reviews for Karate Kid Legends are now out. And they're not great. They're not the worst, but they're not great. The last I checked, it was sitting at 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, which means it's roughly split. Like half the critics like it, half the critics don't.
A little more than half like it, yeah.
So anyway, let's go over and take a quick look at see what some of them are saying. The Mary Sue is saying, for all the same emotional beats that Legends and the original film share, there is something so satisfying about watching one of these movies and seeing our hero come into their own as a martial artist. Movie Files didn't like it. They wrote, the problem, and this seems to be a recurring theme with Sony, where it feels like a calculated attempt to hook you with nostalgia, only to deliver something that isn't quite what you expected, and sadly, not a good, surprisingly delightful either. Slant did like it. They wrote, the film represents a figurative and literal change of pace for the series. Cultural Mix also liked it. Karate Kid Legends crams in stories about kung fu, boxing, and karate to mixed results. It's sometimes unfocused, but gets by on the cast's appealing performances. It's not like Cobra Kai, it's a tribute to the 1980s style filmmaking. Punch Drunk Critics liked it, saying, sure, the story's kind of weird and involves Joshua Jackson flipping pizzas and learning kung fu, but it still charms you and will win you over if given the chance. Hollywood and Tato writes, star Ben Wang deserves the spotlight, but the saga's formula is showing its age. We Live Entertainment also gave it a positive review, saying, fortunately, this 2025 continuation of the series is also a lot of fun, with a fine handling of how to balance past and present. Then there's some not so good ones. The Playlist wrote, it feels too thin too often and missed opportunity when it comes to tapping into the franchise's deeper emotional legacy. Drum Dums writes, Ben Wang is easily the best part of the movie with amazing physical talent and likability, but he's surrounded by a script that feels like a poor imitation of the first movie with very little heart, which is sorely needed to given Wang's talent. And Joe Blow's movie network wrote, it's no Cobra Kai.
Although that could be a positive for you.
For me, that could be an upside, right?
You're like,
That's very true.
Like, okay, now I'm interested.
That's
as long as
certified fresh.
As long as it's not Cobra Kai. Anyway, so, and you know what? Here's the thing. It's about like some of these other movies that come around 50%. The ones that are saying they like it are not loving it. The ones that are saying they don't like it aren't saying they hate it. It truly does sound like the definition of a mediocre movie.
Yeah.
Like it's all right. And you know what? I'm still going to go see it tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, and I'll tell you, the main number one reason I plan to go see it and that won me over and why I'm still going to go see it tomorrow is this kid, Ben Wang. I mean, he won me over at CinemaCon, man. And then we saw him also in the trailer for The Long Walk.
Yes.
Coming up, which he also, I can't wait to see him in that. I think this kid is going to be a bona fide superstar. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but I think in the next few years, this kid's going to be a huge major superstar. So I'm still going to go see it. And I'm disappointed the reviews aren't better, but I'm just glad they're not terrible. Anyway, Chris, you heard the reviews for this. Where has your anticipation level been for this? And Are these reviews surprising you at all?
You know, I've been on a bit of a journey with this movie. When it was first announced, it was kind of like learning that a platypus is venomous. Why would you do that? Why would you make that? I don't understand. What creator would make that happen? But then
Why do you even know that?
I could know so much math or something else, Rob, and instead just useless trivia.
I didn't know a platypus was venomous until today.
Well,
I was today years old.
Bum. But then these trailers started coming out, and the movie looked really amazing. The latest trailer looked so epic, and I was really excited about this. I'm still definitely going to see it because, you know, I feel like a lot of people are going to... Look, why would that be poisonous? Why would that be venomous? You just want to give them a little smooch. But that's exactly what nature wants you to do, so you'll die. I'm still going to go see this. I think a lot of the people are bringing in their previous baggage with these franchises, with the Last Karate Kid with Jackie Chan, with the, you know, spanning several films with Pat and everything too. And I'm trying to view this as its own entity, even though it's going to be such an homage to the franchise as a whole. And like you, I want to see it mostly for Ben Wang because he is such a tremendous actor and he absolutely is going to be a superstar. He signed on for the next Hunger Games installment too.
Right, yeah.
I mean, he is just one to watch. And so at the very least, if I get to see him do some really kick-ass karate, I'm going to have a good time.
Yeah, and you know, and I'm one of those guys that I didn't think it was fabulous, but I really quite enjoyed the Jackie Chan Karate Kid movie.
It wasn't as bad as everyone made it out to be.
I had a good time with it. I did. And when they showed us that scene at CinemaCon with him and Ralph Macchio when they meet for the first time, and this looks like it could be sweet. Maybe we already got the best of it. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, my friend who works in exhibition saw it and was a little disappointed. He said, you know, like Daniel LaRusso doesn't show up till the final third of the movie.
Wow. Oh, really?
So, yes.
Because they make this look like he's in the whole film.
Yes. And he said it really wasn't like that. The first part of the film.
Oh, that's going to piss me off.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. And you know, I don't know. I'm sure Ralph Macchio might be in a little bit of the front of the film. I don't know how it all plays out. But it's interesting to me. What I'm fascinated by is how does this click in with Cobra Kai? Because it feels like this is totally detached from it.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Like they...
No, but I think it should. All jokes aside, I think it should be. I mean, this
is not Cobra Kai the movie.
This is their life.
Karate Kid.
In, you know,
I know, but
tonally it seems very different.
It's like there's like I would think they'd want to have synergy. Only
I don't
because
know.
Cobra Kai became a big hit.
But if you think about it, they kind of did that with Karate Kid 2, where it's like, well, where's Johnny? Where's Rosita? And it was only Cobra Kai that eventually tied it all
Nobody
together.
ever asked where was Rosita.
Everybody asked where's Rosita.
Say Johnny just did.
Yeah. But where's Cobra Kai and where's Johnny and all that? Like that took a big hit. I remember when Karate Kid 2 came out, it was kind of the same situation. But
It's true. I'm going to see Bring Her Back.
Oh.
Oh, no.
I can't wait.
dude, you know what movie?
Wait, what's the other one that's open? Oh, and The Phoenician.
Yeah, yes.
You know what? It's not getting terrible review. I think
No.
it looks terrible. I think it looks awful, but it's got a 75%.
If it can be like
My buddy in exhibition said it was great.
if it can be like the Grand Budapest, then
Well,
hey,
yes. If it can be like the Grand Budapest, great. If it can be
But
like
if
Life
it's gonna-
Aquatic, it'll be great.
yeah, but if it's going to be more like his more recent outings,
Because you're not a French Dispatch fella.
I like vignettes of it, but I don't like it in totality.
And what's the one
That's
with Comet, not Comet City? What's the most recent one? he did?
Asteroid City? That one I was
That
like,
one's-
I was
See,
bored.
that's what this looks like to me.
I was
Phoenician
bored.
looks like Asteroid City.
I
to me,
love
but-
Wes Anderson, and that one was rough.
John, would you be surprised to know that today Criterion announced that they're releasing a box set on 4K disc of Wes Anderson's movies, beginning with Bottle Rocket.
Ooh,
If I had
love Bottle
anything that
Rocket.
could play discs, I might be interested in that. But I have nothing. that
Bottle
can play
Rocket
discs.
was his least Wes Anderson film.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was his first one.
But
I know.
yeah.
Yes.
But I love
It's
it.
so charming.
And you know, it was his kind of hybrid one between his transition. Royal Tannenbaums.
Ooh,
Yes.
such a
That
good
Royal
one.
Tannenbaums was kind of that movie that kind of marked his. You could see the transition happening. into his
Moonrise
style.
Kingdom was when you knew something had shifted.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, this is
But Karate Kid.
This guy's a delightful
Karate
man.
Kid.
Karate Kid, guys.
Which has nothing to do with Wes Anderson. It
bad.
is opening tomorrow, guys. I'm still planning on seeing it. Are you planning on seeing it? What do you think? Are you surprised to hear these reviews? Do you think they're higher than you thought they would have been? Do you think they're lower than you thought they would have been? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, I had a really gut punch of a feeling yesterday when I realized it's Tuesday, but there's no Andor to watch. So we just did get finished watching Andor, one of the greatest things Star Wars has ever done. It's an absolute masterpiece. And I made the prediction yesterday on my open mic show that I think it's going to come down to the pit and Andor, is what I think at the Emmys. Well, now the Hollywood Reporter, one of the big trades, as the Emmy nominations are coming up in about a month and a half, about 6 weeks away, I think, when we get our nominations. They just put out what they believe is the list of the shows that are going to get the ultimate nomination for TV. Best drama and by the way, comedy, we'll cover comedy as well, but best series on television. And here are the shows. Let's see if your show is on this list. Here are the shows that they are predicting are going to get nominated for best drama. They're predicting The Pit, Severance, White Lotus, The Last of Us, The Diplomat. By the way, I did not watch the new season of The Diplomat. And I was late to the original season. I really like it. It's really quite good. Anyway.
What are the numbers? Is that season?
Season number 2.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Of course, Andor, Slow Horses, and Squid Game. I have also not watched Squid Game season 2.
Man.
I haven't watched that yet.
Slow Horse is always a bridesmaid, never the bride.
They then say, though, that these following shows are threats to get one of those nomination spots. So those are the ones they feel are going to get the nominations.
Right.
Here's the ones that they say could get in there.
All right.
Paradise, which I loved. Handmaid's Tale for its 6th season. House of the Dragon.
Jeez.
Day of the Jackal, which I loved.
Yes, that.
Your Friends and Neighbors, which I haven't started watching yet.
Oh,
I need
it's
to get on
fun.
that. Bridgerton? Okay.
Well,
And this season wasn't even that good.
I
It was
haven't
not
watched
nearly
it,
as
so I
horny as we
can't-
were promised. I am
can't say.
disappointed.
And
added that one, didn't she?
I don't watch things that aren't horny enough.
And Industry. And then they say
Moments.
Outside Shots.
Okay.
Landman,
eh.
Matlock.
That's cool,
By the way,
but no.
I loved Matlock. Yellow Jackets, The Boys, The Perfect Couple, Wolf Hall, The Mirror and the Light, and Interview with the Vampire, Elsbeth, and The Agency.
Those are definitely outside chances.
So let's go back to the ones.
good.
Though.
That's
I'm not-
I mean, if you look at all those shows, that's a pretty terrific indication of what kind of entertainment.
Yes,
we're
it is.
Yeah,
We
it's
are
been a
living
good
in a
TV year.
great era of
Yeah.
television.
getting. Yes.
We are living. I kind of feel like when the Emmy nominations come out, it's a little bit of an eye opener, like when the Oscar nominations come out, because when you get around Oscar season, you can think, well, this year wasn't so good in movies, and you start going down all the list and like, actually, this was a really good year for movies.
Yeah.
This is a great time for television, man, and that's not. We haven't gotten to the comedies yet. So these are the ones that are up there for comedy. So let's get to comedy in a second here. I still think it's going to come down to The Pit and Andor. I think Severance could possibly get in there, but I'm still thinking Andor and The Pit. I do love the nominations. If there was any other one from the list that I might promote up, it might be Paradise.
Yeah.
Paradise, I might move that up and replace. I can't say replace Squid Game because I didn't watch Squid Game. I don't know which one I'd replace it with.
I'm gonna punch air if White Lotus wins. I'm just saying that right now.
Did you watch this season?
I'm just so over White Lotus.
This is the
and
first
hype.
season I actually liked.
Only
Wow.
took 3. Third
It
is the
only
charm.
took 3. First one was like, this is fine, but it's not as funny and satirical as everyone says it is. Season 2, I absolutely hated. I hated it so much with my whole being.
Your eyes
And
twitching, I could tell.
Yeah, and then Amy Newman made me watch the 3rd season, basically.
Amy.
And it's fabulous.
And by
So
the way,
messed up.
they're also predicting in this that like 4 actors are going to get nominated for Best Actor just from White Lotus.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so including Walton Goggins.
He's so good in it.
Rob, you got a series in here
Gotta
that
watch
is
it
standing
for the
out to you?
dog.
Do you think
Well,
there's a series
that's
missing
true.
from
I
your
was
prediction
not
list?
missing, but like you said, I'm a big Paradise guy. I loved Paradise. I was totally blown away by that. But no, I mean, look, The Pit, I got to tell you, that was one of those shows that Elizabeth was watching. I'd heard about it. I'd read about the controversy about how it was ER 2.0 and Michael Crichton's estate was getting frozen out of it all. But I got to tell you, dude, that was some riveting TV.
It's a banger show.
You
It's
never
so
think,
good.
you never think like how many, since I've been a kid, if I were to calculate how many hours of medical TV programming I've watched,
Seen elsewhere,
based on
baby.
all the medical shows that existed, I never would have thought that there would be one more medical show that I would need to watch or that I found enjoyable. The Pit was that show. I was totally adverse to watching that. I was sucked in, man. I mean, that show's intense. I feel like I need to take a shower after every episode because I've just been like, but
it's done 24 style. It's done in real time. Every episode is 1 hour of that
but
day.
I mean, I also think that a lot of these shows, I didn't think this season, I finally, caught up with all of Severance. I didn't think this season was particularly the greatest season of
I thought it was quite good. I didn't think it was as good as season one.
They took some big swings.
Well, they did.
I appreciate
but House of the Dragon wasn't, I don't think it was, it ended before it could have gotten great. It wasn't nearly as good as the first season. I still liked it. But I think a lot of these shows that are in there that have moved along, it's not their strongest seasons. So I look at Andor. Andor obviously ended big. It ended great. Paradise was strong all the way through. I really wish For All Mankind would be on this show list, but it's not. That's the one I would say that is never going to get the love.
The only thing I can't forgive Paradise for was the Meet Me on Murder Hill.
When he said
I just
that?
I can't forget.
Not
I
on
love
the
it,
phone. Meet me tomorrow.
That's fair.
Well, he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that drove me
But
crazy.
how he was then dead, that part
was weird. That
surprised me. I got to admit, they got me on that.
Yeah.
Like, I did not see that coming. All right, well, let's now move over to the comedy for a second here. Here are the shows that they believe are going to get nominated for Best Comedy. Their list includes The Studio, Hacks, The Bear, which is not a comedy.
Tragic.
It is not.
Yeah.
Nobody Wants This, which was much better than I thought it was going to be honest. Only Murders in the Building, Abbott Elementary, Shrinking, and What We Do in the Shadows.
Right.
Which, I love this show. I love What We Do in the Shadows. I didn't think their final season was their strongest work.
No, but I appreciate the meta-ness of, hey, no finale is going to be good enough. We're not going to do what you want. So let's just play around with that idea.
Then they have what they believe are the threats to get onto that list. Poker Face, which I know a lot of people that love this show. The English Teacher.
So underrated.
The Four Seasons.
No.
No.
I watched that whole show. That is not a good show.
And liked it.
It's okay.
and liked
It is
it.
not okay.
It's all coming back to me now. There are moments of gold and there are flashes of light, but there are things I
But
never
at the
do
risk
again.
of spoiling, guys, if you don't want to know what happens in the Four Seasons, plug your ears. Like, what is it with Steve Carell being in these shows and then dying in them? The morning show and this. Anyway, Running Point, St. Dennis Medical, which I'll tell you what, I hated the first couple of episodes of St. Dennis
Spoiled
Medical.
it for me.
And it grew on me. It did grow on me. And then a show called The Rehearsal, which a bunch of our viewers have told me they really like. I don't know anything about it.
It's on my radar. It's on my radar.
There's a lawsuit with it right now.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Because whatever you think it is, it's not that.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it is.
I didn't know what it was either until I started watching it, and it certainly wasn't what I thought it was.
It's wild.
I
And
thought
then
it was
they
similar
said-
to the production you've done where you up in Seattle. I thought it was something like that.
Now, then they say the outside shots, at getting in are Etoli, I don't know that one. The Residents, A Man on the Inside, Agatha All Along, Somebody Somewhere, and The Righteous Gemstones.
Ooh.
Which of course just wrapped up. But we'll go up now to the ones that they say, listen, The Studio was such a big win.
I mean, it's
like I had a few people before the show debuted. I know a few people who watched the entire series and they gushed about it. And I thought, well, as long as it's good, it's Seth Rogen, good Canadian kid. I'm sure it'll be good. And I'm just looking for it. I'm sure it's not going to be that good. To me, it was that good. I loved it. And me though, I'm always going to say it should be Shrinking. This is a show that just finds a way every season to get funnier and more emotionally touching all at the same time. The fact that they're bringing Jeff Daniels and Michael J. Fox into it next year is just it's already almost has me in tears already. Again, I loved What We Do in the Shadows. I love that show, but I didn't think this was its strongest season. Abbott Elementary is always funny. Only Murders in the Building is always going to be on this list. Again, Nobody Wants This was better than I thought it would be and made me watch it. But for me, it comes down to The Studio and Shrinking. Chris, when you see this list, what about you?
Well, first of all, get the bear out of there.
Yeah,
Get the beer out of there. That's what I would move up to drama. Get it out of there. Because no matter how often you make a cheeky cousin or these nuts kind of joke on there, it's not a comedy ultimately. It's a drama. And so that's my first takeaway. Shrinking is so, so good. Hacks is also, though, kind of unreachable, at least when it comes to Jean Smart's performance. She is on a whole other level.
And she thanks Sal Saperstein, by the way.
Of course. The studio is so brilliant, too. I mean, the comedy category, honestly, is so stacked. There are so many great options, especially on that second tier list, too, of things that I would potentially promote up there because you've got a lot of really, really great options. I think The English Teacher is something that has been wildly overlooked by a lot of people. I think Poker Face is such a smart show and so great. Natasha Lyonne is so killer on that. But ultimately, I do feel like Abbott, Shrinking, Only Murders, and The Studio are kind of your sweet spot ones for this season or this
Rob,
year.
what about you for the comedies?
You know what? Pediatric Oncologists is the funniest. That was an episode of The Studio.
That was so uncomfortable to watch.
I was cringing. You brought it up.
I texted you about that. I was
was literally on my couch, curled up in a ball. It was so painful to watch, but brilliant. But I love Hacks. I mean, again, these are a murderer's row of shows. Like you though, The Bear. I don't. Why is that in comedy?
I mean, if you're laughing, you're just mean.
But I mean, there are laughs in the show.
Of course, there are.
Moments on it.
It's comedy relief,
still a
though.
drama.
But the same way how you might chuckle at something that happens on The Pit, that doesn't mean it's a comedy.
Yeah.
It's comic relief, but what he's dealing with is not
It's
funny.
not funny.
No.
So if you had to hand out the award, who do you think wins here?
God, Hack. That is tough. I think The Studio does have a shot only because of how it's captured kind of the industry itself.
I think it's how the industry relates back to it.
Yeah, and I think that at first people were dubious. I didn't think the first episode was particularly good. And then when it got more specific, it drilled down into specificity. It became funnier and funnier. So I think that it definitely has a shot. But Jean Smart's probably going to win again.
Oh, yeah.
I
don't see
which
that
I
changing.
think I love her. But things like Poker Face, that's a great show. And I could see that. By the way, Adam Arkin, who we work with on True
he
Noir,
played my dad.
played your dad, one of the executive producers of that show. I think Poker Face is a good show too. I mean,
And a Ryan Johnson show.
yeah, Ryan Johnson show. That's right.
That's
By
right.
the way, in my headcanon, I'm just throw this out there. Catherine O'Hara's character in The Studio is the same character she was in Schitt's Creek once she got their financial life back together.
Perfect.
And
Wow.
in The Studio season 2, the studio will now be putting together a movie called The Crows Have Eyes 4, The Recroning. And that will come, and only people who watch Schitt's Creek will get that.
She is totally. I mean, she was killing it in The Last of Us.
Oh, she was great
and
in The Last
killing
of
it
Us.
in The Studio. She is an incredible performer and
she's
has been for
fabulous, man.
40 years.
If they don't write her a daughter, and if they don't cast it as Erin Cummings, I will scream. I will scream,
Erin
and I
would
will flip
play her
every
daughter
table.
so good.
She just looks like her beautiful young daughter.
Yeah.
Like every time I see Erin, I'm always just like, that's just you.
We got to bring Erin Cummings back. She needs a series. How do we get Erin Cummings?
I'm sure she's on series. She's a great working actress.
That's very true.
Yeah,
she's killer. She's so good.
She's been in a lot of series.
No, but I mean, as a lead.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a gifted.
She's
performer.
way due. She's so good.
Of course, she lives in New York now.
She does.
With her husband Tom and their 2 children. But anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about these lists about who they're predicting will get the nominations? Do you think there are some names missing? Do you have a particular favorite in both drama and comedy that you would like to see get a lot of love and attention? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? If Kevin Costner's Horizon projects didn't already have enough problems, now they're facing a new lawsuit. Now, of course, you guys know this was a passion project of Kevin Costner. And listen, I applaud people like Kevin Costner. Why am I freezing on the Godfather director? Why am I suddenly freezing
Francis
on
Ford
Francis Ford Coppola? People who have projects they really believe in and were willing to put their own money behind it. I have huge, mad respect for that. But of course, Horizon flopped hard and lost tons of money. Now they're also in a legal dispute with a financing problem. But now Kevin Costner himself and the production are getting sued by a female stunt performer who is saying she showed up on set one day just to do body double, whatever stunt work, and was kind of coerced into doing a rape scene with no contractually obligated intimacy coordinator, no advance notice, no anything like that. And it gets even a bit uglier from there. This is in the Hollywood Reporter saying stunt performer sues Kevin Costner and Horizon 2 over unscripted rape scene. In a complaint filed Tuesday, Devin Labella claims that union and contractual rules were breached when she was allegedly subjected to perform an impromptu scene of sexual violence without an intimacy coordinator. Goes on to write this. One day in May of 2023, stunt performer Devin Labella showed up to the Utah set of Horizon American Saga Chapter 2, the second part of the sprawling Western series from Kevin Costner, expecting to do double for one of the film stars in some basic, fairly boring shots. Instead, she says, she was surprised by being subjected to an unscripted, brutal rape scene without proper notice, consent, or the presence of a contractually mandated intimacy
It's
coordinator.
like Tango in Paris kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now,
Without the
Labella
butter.
is suing Costner and the film's production companies for sexual discrimination, harassment, and the creation of a hostile work environment. Moreover, the complaint alleges that Labella faced retaliation after she reported the incident by not being called back for subsequent work on the Horizon series and never being hired again by the film's stunt coordinator with whom she had worked with previously. So, from I talked to somebody a little bit earlier today, just a little bit of a better understanding of things than I do. So the basic situation is this. This was not in the script. She did not show up to work that day thinking that was going to be something she was asked to do. It was just kind of sprang on her. Now, I can already hear what some people are thinking, and it's understandable. Well, then why did you agree to do it? No, I get that.
No, I know what you're saying.
That's a logical question to ask. Well, why agree to do it? You are a low-level person on a movie set with these big stars, and you show up and they just suddenly pop this on you, and you don't have time to think about it. You don't have time to, let me go back, talk to my family about it, see if this is something I want to do. But no, it's like, okay, we need this now. Go to order, get ready, and go. Like, and all of a sudden you're doing this scene. You don't have the contractually and union rule obligated things in place.
I don't even understand how there weren't people on set like overseeing that.
Well, again, I'm sure this was not something that was premeditatedly planned. But still, the situation was this.
Yeah.
And then to find out, like, she did not feel right about it after it was done, reported the fact that a union rule and a contractual rule was broken, and then got retaliated against for reporting it. Again, allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly. That's not good. Now, again, I don't, from just reading the situation, I don't think anybody 3 months in advance thought, how can we really screw this person over? I'm not suggesting that.
But
when something is done is wrong, and it puts somebody in a position where it's like, by the way, she's not an actor, she's a stunt performer. And you're suddenly asked to do something that a lot of people would be considered pretty uncomfortable. Others do it, that's fine. Others may be comfortable with it, and that's fine too. Nothing wrong with that. But there's rules in place for a reason. And this is a ugly kind of thing to hang. Nobody was dragged into a back alley and beaten to death or anything. But still, this is an ugly thing that's going to now hang over this movie that already has a ton of ugliness hanging over it for multiple different reasons. Anyway, Chris, as member of the union, as somebody who's been on sets and in productions where there are contractual rules
and has
stuff
made
like
complaints and gotten retaliation.
What's your impression of this story? What is standing out to you when you read about this?
I mean, right now, the big takeaway is, though, why did no one else intervene? Why did no one else say anything? But this happens all the time on sets. And one of the biggest misconceptions, and something that I really fight against a lot of times, is people so constantly will say, oh, well, now that you're in SAG, nothing ever is going to happen to you on set that's bad. You're never going to be taken advantage of on set.
Because you're in the union.
That's an absolute blatant lie, right? All the people who Harvey Weinstein took advantage of were in the union as well, right? This stuff still happens because a lot of times people are so afraid to speak up because there is still this notion that we are so replaceable. You won't do it, somebody else will. And even when you do say, hey, I don't feel comfortable, hey, I don't like this, hey, I need to call my agent, a lot of times you are put in a position where it's, well, we really need to film. Oh, we really need to do this. A friend of mine was working on a Lifetime film, and they sprang on her, hey, the guy who's assaulting you in this movie, we're going to have a dream sequence where he like climbs on top of you in this sleep moment. She goes, no, he's not. We didn't agree to that. Absolutely not. No, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. This was a female director, by the way, too. No, it's fine. You're with us. You're safe. Don't worry about it. And she kept saying, hey, I don't want to do this. And they pushed and pushed and pushed and just went, we're going to do it. And she had a really horrible time and was very aggressively pushing him away from her in the scene. And I think they ultimately cut it because it didn't work. But it was a position she was put in that was so uncool. And her manager and her agent both threw a fit of, you did not clear this with us. You did not clear this with our client. People try to pull this all the time. Mm-hmm. But to have it happen on a set of this quote unquote caliber is particularly upsetting.
It's amateur
such an amateur move. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And a lot of times when you do speak up, you do face retribution. I haven't experienced something this egregious. I had a moment on a SAG set where I had gone to my costume fitting and everything was a sample size. So 0s and 2s. That's not me, y'all. Look, I'm a thick girl. Okay. All right. Did that get you? Oh no. Almost I got you to spit on there.
That's why we love you though.
Yeah. I like eating. I have no problem with it. And so I went, hey, my size card was turned into you guys. I'm not going to fit in all of these. And they made a big stink about how I was too fat for their clothes. And that's how they kept phrasing it on set. And I called my agent in tears, being like, I'm being bullied on set. This is really horrible. We turned in my size card, right? And she was, yeah, of course we did, girl. I got you. And then when it was, hey, you can't talk to my client this way, a bunch of those costume people did get replaced. But I still, when I showed up to set to actually film, I still had clothes that were too small for me. And ultimately, I ended up being cut from that commercial. And a lot of it was my agent thinking, hey, I think we raised too much of a stink on this one.
Wow.
Now, we'll never know if that's it. They might have just gone, hey, we don't need this girl in this. But there's still always going to be that little doubt in my mind. And that's the unfortunate thing as an actor of, should I not have complained? Should I not have said anything? Should I not have called somebody? And I absolutely should have. I'm so glad I did, because I'm really glad those people were put in their place. I'm so glad my friend fought back. But we're constantly put in these positions where even when we speak up, we're still told to shut up and deal with it, or we're still coerced into doing things. And it's just really unfortunate. Now, that's all to say I'm believing this person, right? We could find out, hey, nope, they absolutely agreed to do this. They had signed paperwork. They'd done all this other stuff. Right now, it just doesn't seem like that's the case.
Rob, you're reading this story. I mean, you've heard stories like this, like over the years and stuff like that. But what's standing out to you when you?
Well, first of all, I worked on a show for HBO and Cinemax that had a lot of sexual content, and there were waivers that were signed, and the producers had the directors we talked to all of our actors before we shot, and had conversations. What are you comfortable with? What are you not comfortable with? It was very clear what was going to happen. The thing this to me is extraordinarily unprofessional. What's really unprofessional about it is a stunt performer is not dealing with the same kind of emotional content that an actor is.
You go do this scene because our actress playing the role doesn't want to do it.
Right. And a stunt performer is thinking about safety, is thinking about, doing high falls, falling off the back of a horse. But when you spring this on a stunt performer and say, okay, you're going to be graped, in this scene, and you're asking a stunt performer to do something that they're not there to do.
Yep.
Which is to have an emotional response to this. And that's not something easily done. You can't, if someone is unprepared to be in that kind of emotional duress, you can't just expect them to do that. I mean, I'm like, if I was the producer on that movie, I would have said, absolutely not. There is no way we're going to do this. And if we are going to do it, it's certainly not going to be with a stunt performer.
Mm-hmm. And it's certainly not popped on them when they show up to set.
Not at all. This is something that you plan, whether there's an intimacy coordinator or not. This is a conversation that should have been had with the performer days in advance. You have to prep for that kind of a scene. Mm-hmm. I mean, even though it's make-believe, it's harrowing. Did you ever see The Accused? How hard was that for? I mean, that was
Yeah.
not an easy movie to do for Jodie Foster, and she knew what she was getting into.
Well, and even we only did audio for True Noir, right? We just did audio, and our sex scenes in that were discussed and talked about ahead of time, and it was made sure that everyone was comfortable. My really emotional scene in that we did just like a few times because you were really nice and didn't make me keep crying over and over again.
Well, you killed it.
Like, thank you. But like, I had to have a really horrific kind of image in my head of what was happening. And it was a thing that was very close to home to me. And that's the kind of thing that you have to shake off afterwards.
Yeah, you gotta
and
live with that.
you have to have a good director and good crew who allow you that space to kind of freak out and also like get back to square one.
Well, as an example, same thing. Katie Sackhoff asked if we could talk beforehand. So she wanted me to have a conversation with her because she also had an intimate scene. I mean, even though it's audio only, we had a long conversation about her character and what it was all about. And once she heard what I was saying and that we weren't doing it, it wasn't exploitation, then she was like, okay.
It reminds me, I made this little movie a bunch of years ago called The Anniversary. And in it, I had 2 semi-nude scenes with 2 different characters. And the one, it was by this wonderful actress. Her name is Kat. Anyway, but from the first moment that we had auditions, I said, you're aware this has a semi-nude scene. Are you comfortable with that? She said, totally comfortable. She read the scene. When we shot, the day we shot the scene, I didn't even have myself in the room, and I let her approve which crew members would be in the room.
That's the way to go.
And all that kind of stuff, right? Now, the second nude scene was played by Erin Cummings. And Erin goes, she read the script, she goes, I just don't want to do a nude scene. I'm like, well, for you, anything. Like, if you don't want to do a nude scene. But I'm just out of curiosity, is there something about the scene? She goes, and Erin said to me, she goes, I don't want to do nude scenes in my career. I'm not going to do nudity in my career. I'm like, cool. Then for you, no nude scene. So she just wore some really cute, like, negligee thing and whatever. And the scene turned out great. Shortly after debuting my little movie, The Anniversary, she later got hired onto this show called Spartacus, in which we had a little viewing party with her, in which Erin's naked a lot in Spartacus, and she's awesome in it. And I turned to her and I went, what happened to never doing nudity? And she put her hand on my shoulder. She goes, John, I love you, but you're not Spartacus. I'm like, fair enough.
Oh man. Also, we're gonna just keep talking about Erin. If you want to hear about auditioning for those kinds of scenes and everything too, she has a really great podcast episode of that one audition where she talks about what it's like to have those kinds of intimate chemistry read auditions, and it's so insightful.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, well, we spent a lot of time on this. Question is for you. What do you think about this story coming out about the seemingly endlessly troubled production and movies and box office or lack thereof of Horizon? What's standing out to you the most in this? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts.
What a good topic to have whiskey in a cup.
All right, guys. With that down, a little bit earlier today, we jumped onto our community tab or post tab on the YouTube channel, and we asked you guys if you had any true or false scenarios for us, because we're going to play a little game of true and false here today. Here's how it simply works. One of our viewers asks a statement involving a true or false thing, and then we kind of just say whether we think that statement is true or false. So we picked out, I think, 5 of them.
5.
From our audience, and here's what we got. Jonathan, what's up first?
Okay, the antagonistic anonymous says, I don't even know how I read that, but true or false, John, Spider-Man Brand New Day will get delayed by a year, so it releases after Doomsday.
You know what? It seems to make sense, because remember, they just moved both Doomsday and Secret Wars from their May release dates to December release dates. And Spider-Man Brand New Day was going to come out after Doomsday. Now it's coming out before Doomsday. So it would make sense. But I'm going to say false. Because it seems to me if they were going to do that, why wouldn't you announce that all at the same time? Again, I don't have any other logical premise for that, and I certainly have no insider information. But because to me it seems like they would have just made that announcement at the same time, I'm going to say false. Rob?
I'm with you.
Really?
No, I'm with you because I think what is a better marketing tool for the new Avengers movies, which are iffy at best. I mean, right now, it's not like you're going into it the way we went into Infinity War. People are like, by definition, Doomsday is a gimmick. You're bringing Tony Stark back. and apparently Brand New Day, and I've only heard whatever we've all heard, that it's supposed to take place concurrently with Doomsday. So why?
Yeah, I don't know if that's reputable or not.
Yeah, I don't know if it is or either, but let's say it is, or if it's a different. I mean, either way, what better way to come off an almost $2 billion Spider-Man movie with, No Way Home, to lead into an Avengers movie? We don't have much of a lead into these Avengers movies.
Yeah.
What better way than to use Spider-Man as a launching point? Of course, you're dealing with Sony. It's up to Sony to do this. But I would think that if you have to have it, if you have to move that film, what a great way to launch into Doomsday, because whatever your post-credit sequence is going to be, if it leads right into that movie and it's a banger, it could be the best way to promote.
And by the way, it may be agnostic as to when it comes out. Look at Ant-Man 2, right? Ant-Man 2 came out after Infinity War,
Right.
but it took place, other than the post-credit scene, it took place before Infinity War. So, I mean, it could be one of those movies that they could drop it wherever in there. I don't know. So I'm sticking with false. You're saying false. Chris, true or false?
You guys are saying a lot of great things, but I'm going to say true, mostly to be a contrarian, but also because if they can move it, I think they will give themselves a little more time.
Yeah.
Why not? Especially with some of the contractual issues they've had with Tom Holland.
Yeah, and it was going to come out after Doomsday before.
Yeah, so why
it
not?
makes sense. All right, what's next?
All right. We got Craig teaching English says, true or false, Rob, The Mandalorian and Grogu will make more at the box office than Fantastic Four.
True. I have to say true. Look, it's Star Wars. It's The Mandalorian and Grogu. I don't have a read on Fantastic Four myself, but I can tell you that The Mandalorian and Grogu, if they put out a banger trailer, people are going to go. Don't underestimate the power of that little Grogu to get audiences into the theater. Because I think that, look, it's the first Star Wars movie since 2019, and I think I would assume it's going to be good. So I think with an effective trailer, I think it's going to make more money than Fantastic Four.
Chris, true or false?
I don't know. I feel like false, only because a lot of people, including you all in this room, did not seem super jazzed on the last season of The Mandalorian.
No, we were not.
And I feel like people are not as charmed by it anymore. And also that jump from TV to movie, right? I think could throw things off. And Fantastic Four has all the makings of some epicness. I mean, that score alone, choosing to
score is
have
so
that,
good.
I feel is like, we know this is going to be an epic killer movie, or at least I hope so. So I'm just I'm hedging my bets on Fantastic Four. It's so different. It's so niche for Marvel. I'm hoping that it's going to be something that really hits with audiences because it feels different. Kind of in the same way that Thunderbolts felt like a more A24 kind of superhero movie. I'm hoping that we have this really interesting 60s mod thing that more people go to theaters to and gravitate towards.
I am definitively going to say false for a couple of reasons. Not because I think Fantastic Four is going to be $1 billion film, because I don't. I think it'll do well, but I don't think it's going to be $1 billion film. But it's a combination of things. One, the thing that Chris just mentioned, season 3 was not great.
No.
Like our last taste in our mouth with Mandalorian was not a good one. Secondly, it's a Disney Plus show, and not everybody has Disney Plus, and not everybody watches Disney Plus. And on top of that, hear me out. I think Andor was so good, it's going to make the other stuff they're doing right now not look as good.
Oh, that's fair.
And I don't think that's going to be a huge thing. But you put all that... Now, does that mean I think Mandalorian and Grogu is going to flop? No, I don't think it's going to flop. But all those things together, I just don't see it making a ton of money. And I think Fantastic Four will leak out a little bit more. But, I mean, to Rob's point, like any movie, a banger trailer can change a narrative. So
Yeah,
we'll
It's
see.
true.
Yeah.
One truism is Pedro Pascal is getting paid.
Yeah,
That's
Pedro
true.
Pascal wins either way.
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal wins either way. All right, what's next?
Lay's TX, Lay's Laz Texas, I guess. True or false, Chris? In 5 years, streamers will all merge into an a la carte style package with one monthly payment plan.
And become cable? Please no. Please no.
Well, it won't technically be cable.
I mean,
but
ish.
Yeah.
Towards the end of cable, that was cable.
Yeah, you just pay one price and you get all the channels.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna say false because I hate it. I have no other reason.
I do often wonder, because we've talked about with cable and streaming and the demise of cable, what happens to all of these other cable channels where it's like Rockstar TV or whatever, all these weird cable channels where it's just extreme sports or this or that. Like, where does that all go?
The other
It all
streamers are like
disappears.
Galactus and they
Yeah, it
gobble
all
them
just
up.
disappears, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's why, like, you can, if you're on HBO Max, you can still watch Food Network and HGTV and stuff like that because they're on there. So
Well, not
just
for
gobble
long.
gobble.
They're
stick
gonna
them in
get they're
there.
gonna get sold out.
True.
I'm gonna say true. And you know what? Somebody asked a similar question about a year ago, and I said no way. But you know what's happened since? Disney and Hulu and Max bundled, and their results have been great for them. And it's a significantly lower price. Like, so I still haven't made the switch, and I need to make the switch. The price for the bundle, the ad-free bundle of that, is still like $18 a month cheaper than what I pay for all three of them right now together, right? Now, the tricky part is going to be, like, Netflix is not going to take an equal share. Netflix is the biggest streamer. So the tricky part is going to be figuring out, okay, we do this a la carte, and then do we have statistical analysis say which streamers' content had the most minutes viewed, and then do we divvy up the monthly pie that way? But listen, everything about streaming, to Chris's point, is starting to look more and more like cable did. From ads to bundles to like everything else. So I actually think within 5 years, which is an eternity in the entertainment industry, I kind of think now true. I've changed my mind on it. I'll say true. Rob?
I don't know. I can't. You both make compelling points, but I think that somebody like Netflix is never going to bundle. They're never going to allow their service to be bundled with someone else's service. And I do think, like, it's fascinating to me that Max, I mean, Disney and Warner Brothers really are across the street from one another. So I can understand. Maybe they're friends, but I don't see other studios, like whatever happens with Paramount. Maybe Paramount could bundle with Netflix. I mean, I don't know. I think there could be some mergers and acquisitions, but never a bundle that there's never not going to be an overarching choice where you get all the streamers. There's going to be pockets. They're going to have.
Well,
their own
let's say the
fiefdoms.
major streamers. We're just going to say Netflix, HBO, Apple, Peacock, Disney.
Yeah, because I just don't see, like, I don't see Apple. Apple's its own thing. Netflix is its own thing. So I think there's going to be some that stay. Maybe, NBC, Peacock might be its own thing because it's NBC. But I think there's going to be different realms of streamers. Some might join forces, but I think we're never going to get them all under one umbrella.
I forgot to mention the main reason why I thought why I'm going with true. What is the number one enemy of streamers? Churn.
Yeah.
And what has bundling shown? It is really great at combating
Yeah.
churn, and that's why I think it's going to become more appealing to them.
They need
but
that-
we'll
they need
find
that-
out.
By the way, apropos of nothing, we got an animated Predator movie coming to Hulu in a couple of weeks.
That Killer of Killers.
I can't wait.
I still can't get excited about it.
I'm excited about it.
I'm
I
pretty
want to
bummed.
be.
That's gonna be fun.
It looks pretty good, dude.
I thought the Terminator one they did recently looked pretty good too, and I was kind of
World War II
disappointed by it.
Corsairs flying up against a Predator alien craft in the sky.
Hell yeah.
Here's
Come on,
hoping.
man.
You know,
All right.
the service should be called Ring. It'd be one ring. I
rule
envision
them all.
one
Roll them all,
ring
and then
to
darkness binds them.
rule them all. It's just something in my head. I can't.
All right, what's next?
We got Jordan Gresh. True or false? I can't remember who I left off with. I guess.
Oh, I think it's me.
So it's your turn?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris. Shrek 5 will beat Avengers Doomsday as the highest grossing movie in 2026.
Somebody. No. Probably not. I don't know. Taylor Gonzalez, give me your powers. I feel like Avengers would still potentially make more money, but Shrek is so beloved. People love the shit out of Shrek. Truly, and then ironically, which I still
Yeah.
also don't grasp fully.
But to the point of 2.5 billion.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I feel
don't
like
know.
Avengers would still take it, but I don't know.
Yeah, look, make the people out there right now who are saying that Shrek 5 isn't going to do that well are the same people who thought Lilo and Stitch wouldn't do all
Oh, it's
that
going to
well.
do great.
I mean, Shrek is going, make no mistake, Shrek 5 is going to make a ton of money.
Yes.
But it's got billion-dollar potential money. Avengers Doomsday has $2 billion potential. I don't think Doomsday will make $2 billion, by the way. I don't. But it's got $2 billion is its ceiling. That's for its potential.
I mean, the lowest grossing Avengers movie was 1.4 and change.
Yeah.
billion.
I mean, it's going to make a ton of money. And I just think when you're talking about Shrek, you're talking about that can be a $1 billion film. When you're talking about Doomsday, you're talking about if all the stars align, that could be a $2 billion film. So as much money as I think Shrek is going to make, it is false that will make more than Avengers Doomsday, in my opinion. Anyway, Rob.
Look, I think that Avengers Doomsday is going to make more money than Shrek. It just is going to do that. And unless it isn't very good. But Shrek is going to make a lot of money. I could see Shrek.
Tons of money.
Tons of money. I could see Shrek being $1 billion grosser easy. I think people want this. You know, the thing about the Shrek series.
By the way, one of our viewers, Robert, says Shrek 5 will make a swamp load of money.
But you know, the thing about the Shrek franchise is you say the word and you kind of smile on the inside. There's no downside to Shrek. None. So, I mean, it was a smart thing to do. It's been away for a long time. I think people are going to dig it, but I don't think it's going to outgross Avengers Doomsday.
All right, last one. What's next?
All right, this one's for you, John. Dingus McNally says, true or false, Dune Messiah will move because of Doomsday coming out in December.
You know,
I didn't even think about that.
That is a great question. Look, if we were talking about any other month of the year, I would say yes, Dune will move and get out of the way of that. But we have seen year after year that when it comes to box office in the month of December, in the Christmas season, there is plenty to go around. And we've seen multiple years where multiple movies have done really well. So, listen, I don't feel strongly about this, but I will say false. I do not think Dune will move. I think it is a prime release date. And again, I think it could piggyback with Avengers Doomsday, if anything. I think it could be like one of those, oh my God, what a great time to be a film fan and go into the movie theaters like 3 times in 1 week. Again, I'm not going to be shocked if we find out that Warner Brothers does move it, but for now, I'm going to say false. It's going to stay where it is. Chris?
I would love a Doomsday. I would love that.
There it is. There it is.
Right?
Doomsday. It's official. Now they can't move it.
You can't move it. It's got a real good name. Unless they're re-releasing Muppet Christmas Carol in theaters, why would we move anything? Come on.
Doomsday.
Chris just said,
Got your ass.
That's
Hell
it.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like these could just really work with each other. I think they'll kind of yes and one another. I love them coming out at the same time. I feel like they should stay together, and I think they will. I don't think either wants to back down.
Rob, what do you think?
Look, after I heard that, I had a different answer. But Doomsday
Doomsday's just too good.
It's too good. But
And you know, I'll tell you right now, Doomsday will beat Barbenheimer. Doomsday would beat Barbenheimer.
oh yeah, it would.
Yeah, Doomsday would be. I mean, but first of all, we should already start planning that. There's got to be a logo. We should make an early popcorn bucket for Doomsday just to have it.
You know, we've got a friend of the show. You guys have seen him before. I've had him on the show for my friend Matt Barnard, who is, you remember that great Chef Pleasure graphic, right? He's the one who drew that. Like, he's like world-class artist. I will get him going on a Doomsday poster. Yes.
I mean, but now to be a contrarian, if there is going to be movement, I think Dune will be moved up to the Thanksgiving holiday.
Ooh, when's Thanksgiving in America?
That'll be.
It's the end of November.
End of November.
Okay.
Yeah, it's usually like in the November 22nd.
That was my feelings too. Like that would be the next.
I think they would pull Dune up but now we've on this show, Chris Carr.
Well, apparently the chat is now saying they came up with it, because we all can't have the same idea.
I don't
Sure,
think
chat.
so.
That's yours.
Yeah.
But they're not live on
See you
the air
in
right
court,
now.
chat.
Doomsday.
See you in court, chat.
Somebody
Thanks,
else is also saying Doom Messiah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Doom
Instead of
Messiah is
Dune
good.
Messiah.
Avengers-
That's a really
Avengers
good one.
Messiah.
I like Doomsday.
Yeah.
Doomsday's good, but Doom Messiah, because it kind of fits.
I like
But Doom,
it. Yeah.
Either
Reason
way,
for the season,
we'll
baby.
Go with both. By
Oh.
the way, they have to hire you and make sure that both studios pay you for this.
They will bend a knee. Anyway, guys, thank you to all of you guys who sent in those scenarios for our little game of true and false. We'll play it again in the next few days, I'm sure. So thank you again for participating. All right, guys. With that all down, let's move on to this, shall we?
Doom Messiah.
Spider-Man 4. Of course, also known as Spider-Man Brand New Day. And all I can think about is the WWE tag team. But Brand New Day is coming. And a rumor started circulating around that the main co-star of that was going to be Dr. Banner and Hulk. I guess much likened unto the way that Tony Stark and Iron Man was kind of like the other MCU representative in Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, yesterday, I was doing an open mic show, and somebody specifically wrote in and say, hey, have you heard this rumor? And what do you think about it? And my response was, I don't believe it. It's not coming from one of the major trades. It was coming from a source that has had a couple things right before, granted. But I said, so I have no insider information. I'm not saying I know it's not true, but I don't believe it. Following up that, a friend of mine who caught the show texted me and said, look, I can't tell you anything definitive, but I think there is something to this. Again, don't take that as definitive. Don't take that as confirmation, but just this person I know is in an interesting position wrote me and said there may be something to this. And on top of that, now some of the other trades are some of the other sites are running it. For example, this one comes to us from Superhero Hype, who's writing Spider-Man 4 rumor reveals Hulk's role in Brand New Day. This is what they wrote. A brand new Spider-Man 4 rumor has surfaced online teasing the possible return of Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner / Hulk. Both Ruffalo and Tom Holland are currently not part of the upcoming Avengers Doomsday movie. It goes on to say, in a new report, Marvel Studios has reportedly tapped Ruffalo to star opposite Holland in the highly anticipated Spider-Man Brand New Day movie. The rumor also claimed that the Oscar-nominated actor, being Mark Ruffalo, appearance would be bigger than a cameo. Should Ruffalo's casting be true, this would mark the Hulk's big screen comeback after 2019's Avengers Endgame. Fans had last seen Ruffalo playing the titular hero in a few episodes of 2022's She-Hulk Attorney at Law. All right. So, I love Hulk. I think out of all the wonderful, magnificent things that the Russo brothers have done in the MCU, which is a long list of wins, the one thing that I think they really dropped the ball on was Hulk and how they ultimately nerfed him. Like, Hulk should be the ultimate nuclear option.
They made him ashamed of his powers.
Well, and that's fine too. I mean, look, Banner historically has always been about how do I get rid of Hulk.
He would be ashamed, but I mean the Hulk itself.
Yeah.
But
I mean, when you go back to the first Avengers movie, again, even like Hulk being in there, it was kind of like Loki's key part of his plan. You brought the monster. You know, all that kind of, he was the nuclear option, and now he goes to family barbecues and Hawaiian shirts. And I will never understand how they nerfed him that badly. Maybe this could be the beginning process of getting us back a real Hulk. Again, because again, Hulk should be, he's the problem. Listen, the Hulk is such a problem in the comics that the Illuminati themselves had to get together and say, what the hell are we going to do about Hulk? And the only answer they had was, shoot him into space, man, because he's just that big of a problem. And again, now he's like bringing sausages to family barbecues. And if they could do something in this movie while still maintaining a Spider-Man movie, it's not a Hulk movie, it's a Spider-Man movie, but that kind of starts to the process of getting us back to a real Hulk again, I would be all for it. Also, the other reason this would make sense is, don't forget, despite what you may hear, Marvel still does not have the rights to, I mean, they do have the rights to make, but then they don't have the rights to distribute. Marvel essentially right now can't make a standalone Hulk movie.
Right.
If you want Hulk, he's got to be a character in somebody else's film or in a larger ensemble film still. So I love Hulk. I love Mark Ruffalo playing him. Again, that Hulk, when we first meet Mark Ruffalo in that first Avengers movie, and he's like, I couldn't live with it anymore, so I put a bullet in my mouth. The other guy spit it out. Like, get us that back. Hey, little guy, like get us freaking Hulk back. Anyway, I would be very excited if this is true. I can myself not say I super believe the report, although again, I am being told there may be more to it. Okay, that's fine. I will just say that if this is true, I'm all for it. Give us more Hulk on screen, provided, and don't forget, Daniel's the guy directing this, the guy who directed Shang-Chi. I have all the faith in the world in him. If he can start nudging us back to a true Hulk again, I would be very happy about that. Anyway, Rob, you've heard this rumor that Hulk is going to be a key player in Spider-Man. I mean, not a co-star, but maybe something more along the lines to what he was in Thor Ragnarok, something more like what Iron Man was in Spider-Man No Way or Homecoming. What would you think about this?
Well, I tend to buy it, and I'll tell you why. Because Peter Parker is a scientist. You know, Peter Parker, while no one remembers who Peter Parker is, and I don't know how he's going to get himself into college, but whether he's going to go to wherever he's going to go, the one person that Peter Parker, knowing he knows who he is, but the Avengers have forgotten Peter Parker, they know Spider-Man. Peter Parker could reach out to Banner. He's the only person they could bond over science. The same way that Peter Parker, if you, not the Tom Holland version, but how we saw Tobey Maguire have a relationship with other scientists, you know, like Willem Dafoe or the Lizard, you know, or Andrew having the Lizard relationship. It makes sense to me that he would reach out to Hulk, that he would reach out to Banner, because they could bond on the science tip. And maybe Peter Parker would have a way to convince Banner who he is, like where he came from, what's going on. So that makes sense. And I think that it wouldn't be like a Tony Stark relationship, but it could be something they're almost like equals in a way. I mean, Hulk is Hulk, but in terms of their scientific knowledge.
I don't think Peter's quite as smart as
Banner.
Banner,
He's more, I mean, because he's who he is, he's more of a dude bro. You know, the Hulk, the banner of Endgame, at least, was more like he's more approachable. He's more of a normal guy than, say, you know, crazy scientist. So I think Peter Parker realizes I can reach out to him and I can get to him. Like I could talk to him. I can't tell him who I am, but we can have something. And I think that relationship makes sense.
Could he not tell him who he is?
What? I think he'd have to ease into it.
Right.
You know, because how are you going to explain who you are if no one remembers Peter Parker?
All he has to do is show up and then take off the mask. By the way, my name's Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's true.
But also, the last time people knew his identity, it was this huge kerfuffle. So he's probably going to be a little more close to the vest.
Yeah,
with that
that's
one.
true. Yeah. Anyway, Chris, what do you think about the rumor? And would you like it? And do you think it's true?
I love it. I buy it. I think it's great because Peter needs a new dad. I mean, mentor. And so he has to have that figure step up. And interestingly, in the comics, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Rob, they don't really have long form team ups between Hulk and Spider-Man.
No, but
there's a couple like 2 or 3 issue things like the Revenge of the Sinister Six. There's an identity theft one between like him, Deadpool, and Hulk. There's a couple things, but the science bros aspect of this is really what I like about it.
Yeah.
And I do like the idea of, I think Peter Parker has the potential to be smarter than Bruce Banner. I like that idea because we often don't see a fully aged Peter Parker aside from like old man Spidey or a few things when they have kids and things like that. But for the most part, Peter Parker is perpetually a teenager or in his 20s. And I love the idea of Bruce Banner mentoring somebody who is potentially more intelligent than him, but also somebody who will place safeguards around those they love and themselves. Because that's really the messed up thing when it comes down to Bruce, is that he was so willing to experiment on himself. And that's what I find so interesting about his character. And that's not something we dive into too much in these stories. Peter is somebody who, sure, in certain iterations, tinkers around, right, with his own webbing or things like that. But he's never one for self-experimenting. He's not one for trying to put other people in peril. He is always thinking of others and their safety first. And I think that's an interesting line to walk with somebody like Bruce, who is always thinking about how he is so capable of destroying everyone around them. And to have Peter, who has an inkling of that fear as a mentee, I think would be really, really fascinating.
Yeah.
Somebody in the live chat dropped in a suggestion, what about if Hulk's the antagonist of the film? That becomes a problem because I don't want to upset any Spider-Man fans, but what's Spider-Man going to do against Hulk?
And also, we just saw that in Captain America 4.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, and that wasn't even the Hulk.
Yeah,
that was Walmart Hulk, with a different version of Captain America,
which also might have had an effect on Banner's Hulk in terms of his standing. People are not going to trust him either.
I don't think they really do anyway.
But I mean, it's after seeing the Red Hulk go crazy.
Yeah,
what Banner's like? Hey, man, I don't deserve this. What is this?
Look, a lot of people, a lot of the
friends.
Marvel fans will come out and still talk about they need to do World War Hulk. And I don't think they're ever going to do it. Frankly, I don't think they're ever going to do World War Hulk. But I would love them to. And now that you got Sentry in the MCU, if you guys know the story, I mean, ultimately, that's what it comes down to. It just comes down to Hulk versus Sentry. And it's epic.
Do you think they'd do it as a what if, but like maybe a special?
Oh, that would be a very expensive special.
Sure.
Bisley art.
But I'd be down for it. I mean, Marvel has yet to have the testicular fortitude to do a what if movie or to do a standalone like the Batman or Joker. They haven't shown that they've got the guts to do it. But I mean, look, it's not too late to angle a story like that.
Yeah.
And I would love to see it. But listen, if this is a movie, the Spider-Man, that can not immediately just have Hulk show up and he's angry Hulk again, but just have something in it, have a part of it that is going to have him start the transition back to the more traditional Hulk, I'd be all for it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? There are really ultimately two questions here. Number one, do you believe the rumor that's going around? There may be reasons to believe it. But number two, just for the sake of the discussion, would you like that? Would you like Hulk being the other character in a Spider-Man movie? Maybe you think it should be somebody else. A lot of people want it to be Daredevil, but we already know they're not going to bring Daredevil into the movie. So whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is taking, of course, your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to bid adieu to, number one, we're going to say thank you to Robert Meyer Burnett for being here today. You were funner, as always.
Funner. I like to be funner.
And also taking a hiatus from being in studio here with us. But don't worry, she's still going to be popping up on the show via
Do you want
remotely.
me to do questions today, or do you want me to boogie?
Oh, well, do you have time?
Yeah.
Then Chris is going to stick around with us today.
This is my last time in studio for a while, though, with
so
you guys.
it would be great to have you stick around.
Heck yeah.
All right, guys. But again, before we get to those questions that you guys have sent in, we're going to take a moment here and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Ridge. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Ridge. Hey guys, listen, I love this thing. This is my Ridge wallet, and honestly, I think it's the last wallet I'll probably ever need. I used to carry around this huge, bulky leather beast stuffed with receipts, old cards, and frankly, way too much junk. It messed up my back when I would sit down on it with my back pocket, and since switching to Ridge, game changer. This thing is sleek, compact, holds up to 12 cards plus cash, and it still fits perfectly in my front pocket. I've got the carbon fiber one. It's ridiculously durable and looks amazing. You can choose from over 50 different colors and styles too. And in today's world, this part is key. It's got RFID blocking tech built in so you can keep your info safe from digital thieves. Peace of mind and style, Absolutely. Another added bonus is if you're like me and constantly misplacing your stuff, they even have an AirTag attachment so you can always know where your wallet is. And to make this even better, Ridge gives you free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all of their products, wallets, key cases, even suitcases. Right now, Ridge is having their huge Memorial Day sale. Get up to 40% off at ridge.com/Campea. That's ridge.com/Campea. And after you buy, tell them our show sent you because it helps a lot. And thank you to our friends at Ridge for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to the important stuff, shall we? Your topics and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Cool Kid 260 says, how much is the How to Train Your Dragon live action movie like the animated movie? I'm afraid How to Train Your Dragon live action could be like or similar to the Lion King live action, which felt like a shot-for-shot remake of the cartoon.
It's very similar, but it's a totally different experience. Like I remember sitting in that theater and watching the movie, and while it is absolutely the same, it has some differences. There are some differences in the story, but it's very, very similar. But it was a totally fresh experience being live action. Like actually having live actors on the stage, it created a different experience for me. And like, I haven't talked to a single person. Like I've talked to about a dozen or so people who were in that theater when we watched the full movie. And without exception, every single one of us that watched it loved it. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. Is it like the original? Absolutely. But that's the thing, Chris. When you get movies like this, if it's not super similar, people go, well, why even do it and call it that if it's not the same?
But
and
then
then if
when
it
it
is really similar, they're like, why bother doing it if
Yeah.
it's just the same? Like, there's no winning, but
No.
they just made a great movie.
You're going to upset everyone, no matter what you do, basically.
One argument has completely nullified the whole dislike for me of any kind of remake. It's that the honest truth is that there are generations that never got to experience these films in theaters.
Yeah.
They may not, and it's like, oh, it's on streaming. They may not go back to watch these versions on streaming.
Yeah.
These are for new audiences. And when I thought
Absolutely.
about it from that perspective of like Gen Z, Gen A, I'm like, yeah, then there's no problem here.
Wait, what's Gen A?
I don't know. It's the one that came after
I
Z.
think
Oh
that's
my
the newest
God.
one.
Yeah.
I think they're calling that Gen A.
And I think the big difference, at least for me, between the Lion King and this one is that there's human actors in this one, right?
Yeah, it's actually it's not
and-
CG animated.
And there's a character, the big guy, the big dude character that I didn't care for in the animated film, who was like my favorite in this one. So that was a big difference for me. Like I think some of the actors on this were just a delight.
Yeah, really good. All right, what's next?
$20 tip from the McWhopper.
Thank you, McWhopper.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today, Little Prince, to ask John and crew, should Seth Rogen make a pitch to have Les Grossman on the studio as a supporting character, Matt Remick's nemesis from a competing studio in a future season?
No, because
I think that's funny, but no.
No, that totally breaks the whole motif
Yeah.
of what the studio is. The
Right.
studio is supposed to be in our real Hollywood. They have Martin Scorsese. They talk about real movies. It's real world. It's not bringing in other fictional characters.
Right.
So, I mean, I could see Seth Rogen in next season having Tom Cruise on, trying to convince him to do the Les Grossman
Exactly,
movie with Continental
exactly, yeah,
Studios. But I don't think you bring in fictitious characters to do that. I don't know, Chris, is that something they could do?
I feel like it'd be really weird and break
Yeah.
up the reality of the studio. And I know that might sound silly, but that's one of the things that show has going for it is it feels so
It's
real.
still
because
our
of people.
world. It's supposed to be
Exactly. Yeah, it feels like I got my mom into it when I was watching when I went to visit her a couple weeks ago, and to her, it's what she thinks Hollywood is like, and for all of us in the industry, it's oh no, it is what it's like.
It really is kind of
we're
what it's
coming
like.
together on this one.
It's uncomfortably what
Yep.
it's like. All right, what's next?
Screen Speak. John, what was worse, DC Fandom 2021 or Avengers Doomsday Chair Watch 25? They were both long and not necessary.
Man, I just keep going back to that because I mean, assuming you have the year right, I remember the first DC Fandom was really quite good. Like, and I thought it was a dumb idea, but they did it and they pulled it off and they made it quite good. And so when they were doing the second one, I was like pretty excited for it. And it was such a waste. It was such a waste. Chair Watch was absolutely stupid. Chair Watch was idiotic. Like you literally could have just put out a press announcement. And people say, but John, so many people watch the stream.
Because they really wanted to know the names.
You
but
literally could have had Roseanne Barr with her bare ass on camera, slowly with a Sharpie writing the names of the individual people, and it still would have had that many people watching.
she might have been doing that.
And might have been what was happening.
AI is wild.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that this slowly moving every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever from chair to chair. It was such an idiotic thing to do.
And it was silence between each time.
As many people that watched it, you would have had 5 times more people watching had you done that more interesting. Anyway, so but at least we got something useful out of it. So I'll say that Fandom 2 was worse. All right, what's next?
Better Adobo. Metro Manila Film Fest is a local annual film festival. It runs its course from mid-December to mid-Jan. Foreign films are not allowed during this period to not eat in the box office of local films in the festival. So Avengers will likely move to January,
That's
like
what I was
No Way
thinking.
Home.
Yeah, you know what? Ray looked that up
It's a
yesterday.
non-compete thing.
You know what? I actually don't hate that idea.
Bad
Like
timing.
taking a month period to celebrate your country's cinema and to really put all the focus on your company's films and stories. I mean, that wouldn't work for the United States.
Of course.
But I mean, but for a country like the Philippines and many others, I actually don't think that came up yesterday. That
Oh, okay.
somebody wrote in and said, here in the Philippines, we're not going to get Avengers in that because it's the Manila Film
Metro
Festival.
Manila.
It turns out no foreign films are allowed to come out in the thing during that time when they're doing this film festival of Filipino films. I don't know. I've never heard of it before that. What do you think about that?
That's wild.
I like it.
Sweet, actually. Every country should be proud of their product, right?
They should, and
And they
I
should take the
absolutely
time to
agree.
appreciate it. It just happens to be when Avengers comes out that it's just bad timing.
All right.
Yeah.
So I agree with that, Ray, but also because of just the interconnectedness of our world now, that bums me out that people are going to get things spoiled for themselves.
Oh,
You know?
right.
Yeah. That's true.
I didn't get to tell you guys this. When we were walking into Thunderbolts, I just did hey, I just got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And Logan was like, great, I'll hold our food and everything. I come back out and Logan just looks at me and goes, I got the ending spoiled for me.
Thunderbolt?
Yeah. where
By
he's-
somebody else coming out
somebody
of the
coming
theater?
out of the theater where he was like, I know why there's an asterisk, but let's go watch this movie, I guess. Fuck. And I
Someone just
feel
came
like
out like,
that's
New Avengers, yeah!
literally.
You're like,
and he was like, I can't believe they decided they're the new Avengers. That's wild. Now I know what the asterisk means. And
Cluelessly
Logan was like,
almost
in
got it
what
that
world?
deep.
In what world would you give me a play-by-play like that, bro? But that's my concern is, that's a bummer that people might kind of have some of these movies ruined.
Right,
not ruined,
right.
but spoiled.
But you
So
know
we're
what?
talking
Because of
specifically
that.
about the
But in
Avengers.
this interconnected world, the reality is, if you don't see this movie opening day,
That's true. It's gonna get spoiled.
it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but it's true. Yeah.
Especially if that viewer watches the show, of course we're going to be talking about
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
Well, not the day
Well,
after
and
it
if
comes
you're
out,
on
but
social
yeah,
media,
during the
Right,
month.
right.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
we got Yikes says, I'm more excited for David Fincher's Cliff Booth movie than I am for a Les Grossman movie. Maybe it's my Gen Z bias, but I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood means a lot more to cinephiles in their 20s than Tropic Thunder. Didn't Tropic Thunder flop?
No.
I don't see the equivalency.
No,
here.
first of all, Tropic Thunder did not flop.
No.
One is like a spoof movie and one is a Tarantino film.
And listen, I'm saying it. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is not Tarantino's best film, and I don't have it ranked amongst his best films. I think Tarantino has only ever had one movie I didn't like, so I definitely like this. It's not at the bottom, but I don't think, quite frankly, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is. I don't hear people talking about it anymore. I literally hear more people talk about Tropic Thunder than I hear people.
It's
talk
more
about
just
Once
a
Upon
meme
Time in
because where he's like whistling and pointing
Yeah.
at the TV screen.
Yeah, there's
you know?
the meme, and
So
that's
like,
a great
yeah.
meme.
Genuinely, when I hear people talk about it, it's usually their kind of discomfort with that film, ultimately.
Like, I don't know why that movie, we needed 20 minutes of screen time of Margot Robbie slowly walking around the streets and then ending up in a movie theater and sitting in a movie theater with her bare feet up. And it's like, what's the point of
Well,
all
you
this?
know why that was there.
Well, yes, we know why that was there. But I mean,
Hang on, there's feet?
Again, I like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Don't get me wrong.
My
I
retirement
just,
plan.
I don't think it's that beloved amongst cinephiles
No,
as
I don't
you
think
might
so
think
either.
it is.
How often has this happened where there's like, you know how they say, oh, I'm generation this, generation that? How often has that been a issue in making movies? Like, that's
a 5-hour discussion.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to bring up one example that just happened recently. In the Superman trailer, he goes, "Let's go, Cronkite." Right?
Yeah.
I had no idea who Cronkite is.
Who Walter Cronkite
But we're
is?
the same.
I have no idea.
We're the
That's
same
right.
generation, and I do.
So it's kind of like, where do you start writing where it's kind of like I love James Gunn, but that part just I was like, I had to look it up. I was
I
like,
think
how many people are going to know?
most people know who Walter Cronkite is.
Really?
Yeah.
He's like when you say news anchor, he is the GOAT.
All
news
I
anchor,
know-
all-time
Yeah.
most famous.
Mine was Ted Koppel or
Well, he
Ted
was
Koppel.
around that time, but he
But
was
like-
his
but
understudy. He
Cronkite
was younger.
before my time, but I know who Cronkite.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had no idea. Yeah. So I don't know.
But even if you don't get a reference, like there's a lot of movies that I went back and watched that, like I was born in '79, but I watched all the movies from the '70s and the '60s. And hey, guess what? There's something called the internet. You know, get something, you look it up. Like not everything has to be for you.
Infinity War,
Yeah.
or was it Endgame? No, it was Endgame, or was it Infinity War? You know, let's go with Endgame. When he says, when Tony Stark says, "So is Squidward." Like the Earth is closed today.
Yeah,
I
that's
had
a
no
good
idea
moment.
who the hell he was talking about.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
You
SpongeBob. That's
No,
SpongeBob,
I don't
right?
watch SpongeBob.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna drag my mom for a second.
So I had no
my
idea.
friends
That
would
was
make
fine.
fun of her because we'd come home to my house every day after theater rehearsal, and my mom would be in her PJs cooking dinner, watching SpongeBob.
Yeah,
my mom
so I
loves
just looked it
that
up.
shit.
After the movie was over, I went and looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. So
Yeah.
so that happens with every movie.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Bry Guy says, what's more likely? Dean Fleischer, Camp, so Lilo and Stitch, Marcel the Shell with shoes on, directing a new Muppets movie. For example, The Muppets Princess Bride, which was brought up before, or Dougal Wilson of Paddington in Peru coming back to direct a Paddington Part 4. I think the latter.
Probably.
The problem is, I don't think there's going to be a Paddington Part 4. I don't think Paddington Part 3 did all that well. I mean, I can look it up here quick. In Peru box office. If I'm remembering it right, I don't think it did all that great. I mean, it made 209 million. I really liked Paddington in Peru. I thought it was delightfully charming. I don't think it was as good as the other two, but I thought it was delightfully charming. But since I really don't think there's much of it, they keep saying they're going to do another one. They're saying they're going to do another one. I don't actually believe it. I don't think you can say you want to do another one, but whoever's got to write the check, I don't think they're going to write the check. So I'm going to guess I don't think the Muppet one is going to happen either, but I'd be down for it. What do you think?
I mean, obviously, I want the Muppet one to happen because we also need to return to what we did in the early 90s of taking original IP or a pre-existing IP and adapting it like Muppet Christmas Carol, like Muppet Treasure Island.
Are they
Those were
actually
so
talking about doing a
fire.
Muppet Princess Bride?
There are rumors. People have
'Cause
done
I would be
spec
down for
scripts
that.
of this kind of thing. There's a spec script of Princess Bride. There's a really great spec script of Great Gatsby with Tom Holland as one of the only humans in it. He's making it. And then a lot of people have pushed for Pride and Prejudice with Brett Goldstein being the only human. And that's my favorite one because he's such a diehard Muppets fan. But I feel like just based on this, the Paddington one makes a little bit more sense, but obviously I'd vote for Muppets.
It's weird that you didn't
right.
mention Treasure Planet, the Muppet one.
I want
Get
the
out
War-
of here.
War Chiefs.
How dare you?
War
On the
Chi-
day I bring you whiskey, you criminal.
War Chief says, as of today, May 28th, Marvel and DC just announced a Batman Deadpool crossover for a comic run in September.
So we
when
talked about this yesterday,
yeah,
I think.
does this increase the chances? No, of a movie crossover between any characters. I just know last week you said never, and no, there's
Never. Guys,
Yeah.
there have been Marvel DC comic book collabs before.
Yeah.
There have been several of them.
we're talking about print
This
versus
isn't
a
anything
movie.
new. Yeah, this is a printed page with 1% of the number of people who actually go to movies. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
but wait,
Never
they're doing
gonna
a
get it,
Deadpool
never gonna
Batman
get it.
crossover
in the
Yeah.
comics.
in a
yeah.
comic book.
Yeah.
Who's going to get that issue 1?
Ray is.
I'll
You
read
got,
it.
yeah, you got to buy that issue 1 at least. That's the. How long has it been since DC and Marvel did a comic together?
It's been a
It's
minute.
been a long time.
Yeah, it's been
Oh,
a
minute.
well, that issue 1 is going to be
but
hot.
it's not. It doesn't change anything about stuff happening in the movies. It's not going to happen. All right, what's next?
We got Thomas Patterson after Andor. I would love to see a follow-up show about the rebellion after the destruction of the Death Star. There are roughly 3 years between A New Hope and Empire. You could even have Aaron Reich back as Solo and bring in Chewie.
As somebody who
I
likes,
think they won't do that.
As somebody who likes the Solo movie, I think that's a good, fun,
It's so fun.
sci-fi adventure film. I think it's a good movie. And as somebody who loves Andor, no, I'm done with the prequel stuff. Like I understood Rogue One and why that story was told, and Andor as a series to really to change our perception of the rebellion. I get that, but I don't now need. I need us to move beyond the fucking Skywalker era.
Never.
I mean, we need to move past it. It's time. We've got all these great stories. They're done. Let's move forward. I don't know. Would you be down for a Star Wars 1.5?
I mean, if the script is good, I suppose, yes. But I have such a huge problem with prequels anyway because of I know where this ends. I need you to create stakes for me where I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like Bix and Andor, right? I'm so thankful for that character and some of the other characters so I could understand some of the loss and other things that were happening in that show. But for the most part, I need you to move forward. And I know I've said this 1,000 times, but I'm so sick of the Dickensian nature of Star Wars, of everyone is related or knows each other.
Yeah.
I think that's gross and weird. I don't need this. It is a galaxy far, far away, not a suburb where everybody is sleeping with one another. I need everyone to have just different ties.
One Star Wars
How
hero.
does this sound?
Yeah.
How does this sound? Have you guys seen the
Desperate
shows like
Star Wars?
Modern Marvels on like Discovery Channel?
Yeah.
How about the building of the Death Star? Like make it a real reality-based thing.
Okay, here's what I would be down for. You do a mockumentary,
Right.
a fake documentary on the actual. How did our glorious empire construct this? And
Yeah.
like a fake 25-minute documentary on
Darth-
the construction of the. We know this thing can never be destroyed. And
Darth Vader making phone calls trying to find contractors.
Okay, that
would be
I
great.
would watch that. I'm not going to lie. That'd be
it would be
great.
Krennic. It would be
Yeah.
Krennic making the calls.
Oh yeah, Krennic.
All right,
Krennic.
what's next?
All right, we got Blake who says, "I saw your Star Wars Plus Star Wars Disney Plus show rankings and agree with them. With Obi-Wan, though, I've always contended that it could have been a pretty solid feature film. Total runtime was just under 5 hours. You cut 2 to 3 hours of filler. It's a good movie.
Listen, I've talked many times, and I keep forgetting the name of the guy who did it, and I apologize. But there was this guy who took the Obi-Wan series and edited it into like a almost 3 hour movie, 2 hours and 45 minutes, something like that. He didn't just cut stuff out. He also moved a few things around. He added in a couple little things through the magic of editing. And while it still didn't end up being a great movie, it was significantly better. It was significant. It was a much more enjoyable watch
There were so many flaws
than
in
the
that show.
series.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know that still means they should have done the movie.
No.
I think if you're going to do one or the other, you probably should have gone the movie route, even if it was just for Disney Plus. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think it should have been a movie, so it could have been a tighter edit and everything, and just not have so many moments of peril. Again, going back to prequels where it's, I know Luke isn't in danger. I know Leia isn't in danger. I see them as fully grown adults later on.
Yeah.
I will say for anyone, though, who loves Obi-Wan or wants to give it a go again and see if they like it more a second try. This is Logan, unsurprisingly, as an Obi-Wan apologist. What he likes to do is he likes to watch A New Hope up until the moment where Obi-Wan puts that lightsaber in front of his face and really meditates for a moment. He watches Obi-Wan, the series, and then comes back to the movie. Because in his mind, that's what
great.
happens in that moment.
Like
how
that's
it
his
all
memory
falls.
going back.
Exactly.
I'm sticking with it.
Listen, we'd never have the destruction of the Death Star. Really, it's a butterfly effect if Princess Leia as a child didn't hide in Obi-Wan's coat.
That's true.
So
They didn't Little Rascals it. We never would have had. The Empire would still be ruling.
Yeah.
today.
that being said, just quickly going back to your idea of a mockumentary, I would love Christopher
this.
Guest to do the mockumentary on that.
Oh my
Oh, it'd
God.
be so good.
Yes.
That would be so good.
I just saw Ray's graphics. Sorry.
Oh no.
and then narrated by what's the name of the actor from What We Do in the Shadows, who
Which
plays
one?
human bartender Jackie Daytona.
Oh, it's
What's his name?
Matthew Berry.
Yes, have him narrate.
Yes, Matt Berry.
narrate it. Oh, that would be
The
amazing.
Death Star is a really nice thing. We're gonna do some great things in the galaxy.
Outstanding. All right, what's next?
Garden Variety says in a two-parter, John, considering your list of Star Wars live action shows, I feel that the fact that they all started good reflects the pitch that they started with. If you were pitched based on the start premise of each, you can see why they were greenlit. But It shows that before they were greenlit, they should have been provided draft storyboards as well. Is that just something not done in the industry?
Yeah, of course it's something that's done in the
Yeah.
industry. They absolutely do
They
it.
didn't
But
just
again,
make the show on the pitch.
I have read scripts that came across as really good, and then when they were executed, not so good. That happens. So for those of you missed it, we were ranking now that Andor's over, my ranking of the Star Wars live action Disney Plus shows. At the very bottom, it was a tough fight for who was going to get the bottom spot between Acolyte and the Book of Boba Fett. I ended up just having Book of Boba Fett inch out the Acolyte in awfulness, and I put Book of Boba Fett at number 7, the Acolyte at number 6. They're both terrible. And then we went from terrible to the not good, but not terrible ones, which I had Ahsoka at number 5 and Obi-Wan at number 4. Then we get into the good shows. I had at number 3, Skeleton Crew.
Hell yeah.
Number 2, Mandalorian, which I almost had Skeleton Crew over
Above.
Mandalorian because of how bad season 3 was, but I still think season 1 and 2 were so good. Mandalorian, and then by miles, Andor. Wow. So that was my ranking. But one of the things we pointed out was that in all of those shows, I liked the first episode of all of them. Even Book of Boba Fett and The Acolyte, I didn't mind the first episodes. I don't know why Disney Plus, and this has been true of some of their Marvel shows too, they don't seem to have a problem having good first episodes. They just usually seem to have a problem of bringing it home.
I actually hated Acolyte from episode 1.
Oh,
Which
yeah?
one?
Acolyte from episode 1, I hated it.
Oh.
You know what? See, I didn't think it was great. And I give, even in shows and movies I hate, I give credit where credit's due. Like the hand-to-hand combat, I love.
Yeah.
That was good.
And I thought this has potential. Like I watched the first episode of Acolyte and I thought this has potential. That disappeared in the second episode. But anyway. All right, what's next?
Benji the Husky. Thoughts on A24 and Alex Garland being tapped for Elden Ring movie. The game won Game of the Year in 22. Has incredible deep dark fantasy lore with George R.R. Martin at the helm. Don't know if Garland is a good fit. Was hoping maybe Zack Snyder or Del Toro.
Nobody was hoping for Zack Snyder to do that movie.
No.
And I say that as a Zack Snyder fan. And I'm looking forward to seeing Zack Snyder's future work. I just don't think that would be a good fit for him. I don't think this movie's going to happen.
Really?
Lots of movies get announced, but it's a different thing when it comes time to actually hit the button with the green light and start writing checks. I don't think this is going to happen.
Feels like a series, not a movie.
Well, here's the thing too.
It's a series?
No, it feels like it should be.
A24, this would, by an exponential amount, be
Yeah.
the most expensive project they've ever done.
Yeah, that's
This-
what I was thinking.
I understand the appeal. It's like, oh, this could be kind of cool. And also, I love Alex Garland as a director. This doesn't seem like a natural fit for him either. Though I said the same thing about Guy Ritchie directing a live action Aladdin movie, and that turned out to be awesome. So I just don't think this is actually going to happen. They can talk about it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Has A24 ever been known to announce things? I mean, I know they probably have canceled and announced, but a property like this popular, or at least in the video game world, would they? Oh, man.
Number one, I don't think they announced anything.
Oh, okay.
I think an outlet found out they signed on Alex
Okay,
Garland to
that
maybe
makes sense
develop
then.
something, and then it got reported, and that could be true. But just because you're trying to develop something, 8 things out of 10 that go into development never actually make it to the screen.
Right.
But I don't know, Chris, do you think this is going to happen?
I think there's the potential for it. And honestly, I'm very intrigued by an Alex Garland type doing this kind of movie. I mean, think about early Peter Jackson films.
Yeah.
Think about early James Gunn films.
Yeah.
Right? You need to have the opportunity to stretch and kind of have that wingspan expanded, right? And so I think it could be really interesting to have somebody who does humanistic stories so well take on something so epic. So I'm interested. And hey, they've saved so much money making all these horror movies. Let's throw it at a big
Yeah.
piece of IP. Why not?
All right, what's next?
Dildar the Glorious.
The Glorious.
Since Jimmy Smits got recast as Bail Organa, is it still possible he can come back in another Star Wars project, or is he permanently no longer Bail because he got recast?
Number one, they should never, ever, ever do another project that would have Bail Organa in it. It's done. It's time to move on. So that's my basic
I need
thing
to
on
see
that.
the moment from Alderon's perspective of it being blasted into
I
oblivion.
want to see him blowed up.
That said, yeah, no, they could totally bring him back. Like, remember, they were very clear. I read one idiot statement. Somebody left an idiotic comment on one of our videos yesterday, which, like, well, they're racist for recasting Jim Smith because just, any Latino guy can just be another Latino guy.
weird.
They should have accommodated Jimmy Smits. Fuck that. That's one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard. Listen, they were very clear. They wanted Jimmy Smits and they tried to make it happen, but Jimmy Smits' schedule did not permit it. And you don't change your entire shooting schedule around one third level character. Because remember, Bale's not in this show a lot. And so they were like, they should have accommodated him. God, that's fucking stupid to say. If it was accommodated, it's like, I can make it Monday, but I can't make it Tuesday. Maybe. But like Tony Gilroy is very clear, man, we really tried. We wanted Jimmy Smits. We tried really hard, but his schedule just would not allow it. He couldn't do it. And so we had to move forward. And they went out, and who did they replace him with again?
Benjamin Bratt.
Who is fantastic.
He's so good.
And he was really good in the show. So the character takes precedence over the actor.
Man.
And they went in, but that does not preclude if for whatever reason Star Wars was stupid and they made more of that era stuff and they had to have more Bail Organa, there's no reason you couldn't go back to Jimmy Smits at all. And no reason you couldn't continue to use Benjamin Bratt, but the option would be open to them.
That really makes me rethink the Hogan family. Recasting a middle-aged white woman, they're all the same.
They're all the same. All right, what's next?
Reference Top Gun Manny. Hey, John, if you're into early Jason Bateman, Hogan family, did you ever get into or watch the playthrough for Gears of War? I think it hits a lot of the themes I've heard you say you enjoy exploring, such as loss and how the characters navigate through the grief and pain throughout the series. You lose, is this a two-parter? You lose a spouse, parent, best friend, amongst others, and in between shooting
Guess
monsters.
I don't need to watch it now.
Yeah, yeah. And characters struggle with the emotional whirlwind. Before Last of Us and before Red Dead, I think Gears was one of the first deeper storyline games out there. Oh, wait, is there more? My God, Top Gun Man. In my opinion, of course, sorry, didn't mean to write a paragraph about Gears, but I got excited to see John Space writing Dune and possibly David Leitch directing Fall Guy, Bullet Train, Deadpool 2. Thanks for taking my question.
Thanks for all those donations, man. That's cool.
Thank you.
First of all, we've been waiting for a Gears of War movie longer than Blade. They've been saying they're going to do a Gears of War movie. I can recall at least 3 different announcements going all the way back to the AMC days. So I don't know that it's at the point that I'll believe it when I see it. That being said, I have never played Gears of War, nor watched a cutscene movie of it. My deepest experience with it, I believe, was sitting down and hanging out with Dennis Zen as Dennis was playing it. I believe that's pretty much my only exposure to Gear of War. So I really don't know anything. So I have no dog in this hunt. Other than to say, I know a lot of people would be very excited about it.
It's a little late.
But
Yeah.
it might be too late. It might not be. It's just that they've said so many times. Like, wasn't Tom Hardy was attached to it at one point? Right?
Even people thought there was one video game show where The Rock was going to make a special announcement, remember? And we were all like speculating, oh, maybe it's a Gears of War thing. But I think he was just like, they just announced a Fortnite skin or something.
Yeah, it was something like very, very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
So again, I'll believe it when I see it. I hope it happens because I know a lot of people are very excited about it. But again, I'll believe it when I see it. All right, what's next?
We got Sir Z says Liverpool are the Premier League champs. So maybe the Tottenham were like they won like a playoff or something, but didn't make it all the way. Liverpool are the Premier League champs. Please don't take that away from us. The most successful club in England. Other than that great show, as always, love you all. Blade 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, well, I wonder because these leagues, like the NBA copied them. These leagues have in-season tournaments that are a big deal in soccer. That hasn't been made into a big deal in the NBA yet. They're trying to make it a big deal, but in soccer, they're a big deal. So maybe, again, as somebody who doesn't know anything about English football, maybe that's what he was talking about. Maybe. All right, what's next?
Okay, Monkey Tongue says, so with the poor box office results of Thunderbolts, do you think it will have an impact on Avengers and Fantastic Four? Also, why do you think the film itself just isn't doing better financially?
Well, I mean, it's doing right what I always thought it was going to do. I mean, I thought 400, and it hasn't gotten there yet, but it's getting close. I don't think you can look at it as being poor. Listen, I tried to tell everybody for ages, this is a movie made up of C and D level characters from other Marvel films. It's literally a movie made up of the table scraps from other Marvel projects, and not even all Marvel movies, some of them Marvel TV shows that not many people watched. And some people say, well, the Guardians were all brand new characters. There was brand spanking new. These are all recycled third level characters being put into a movie at a time when Marvel is not at its height. And I've told people, you think this movie is going to be $1 billion film? You're crazy. So I think it did fine for what it is. I mentioned this on open mic yesterday, and I stand by this. The win for Marvel with the Thunderbolts is it did the more important thing, which is raising people's expectations for Marvel again. Do you know how many reviews I read from users and stuff like that that started with Marvel is back after watching Thunderbolts?
Yeah.
That's what Marvel needs to do. They've got plenty of $1 billion films. That's not really their issue. What they needed, especially coming off a disappointment like Captain America, they needed a film that people went into and said, we loved watching this movie. And that's reflected in the viewer scores, in the audience scores, in the critic scores. And that's the more important thing for them. So it makes around $400 million. That's not great by Marvel standards whatsoever. And no universe is that good. But it's not really the point. You knew this movie wasn't going to be huge financially because it's all recycled unimportant characters into this thing. The key thing is people loved it. And you got to change the narrative in Marvel because narratives Marvel since Endgame has been, that's some great things. Deadpool and Wolverine, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, some great things, but a lot of mediocre to not so good things like Captain America and Quantumania and a bunch of other things. To have Thunderbolts come out, number one, I don't think Disney or Marvel are remotely surprised by where it's ending up financially. But number two, they don't really care because the main thing is it's getting the audiences to start to believe in Marvel again. And that's ultimately in the long term, that's going to do nothing but help Fantastic Four. That's going to help Avengers Doomsday. That's going to help Avengers Secret Wars. More than if Thunderbolts made $600 million, but wasn't as good. You know what I'm saying, Chris? Mm-hmm. So like, I think if you presented to Kevin Feige and the folks at Disney, hey, this movie can make $650 million and get like 65, 68%. Like people liked it. It's okay. It's good. Or the movie can make around 400 million, but be universally beloved. They would take the universally beloved.
Absolutely going with the latter, 100%. Because how many times have we had to talk about the Marvel stigma, right? The stink around some of these Marvel movies, which I will say I do think has also kind of been like overblown a little bit. And I say that as a person who hasn't loved everything that's come out of Marvel. There's certain movies I have absolutely hated, but I
Marvel
also
hater.
You know, I'm not a shill, but also I am a more Marvel-centric person. I'm a more Marvel-centric comic book reader. And I really feel like that movie set the tone for what's to come. And it was a big win for them ultimately.
Yeah, again, just to remind everybody here, it's got a 93% audience rating. If you bring up my screen here. That's verified. That's people who actually bought tickets and saw the movie verified. 93%, 88% on the critic rating. That's exactly what Marvel wanted to see. That's exactly what they wanted to see. Mm-hmm. So if anything, it's going to help the MCU moving forward. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, true or false, Doomsday will make more than Endgame. False, I
false.
think.
Easily false. Yeah. Ridiculously false. Yeah, no chance. All right, what's next?
Chris, you want to say true or false?
What a stupid question.
Yeah. Okay, this is our last of the tips here. Last question of the tips. Not that it matters, but James Gunn recently just said the runtime isn't locked for 2 hours and 2 minutes for Superman. They're still doing VFX, so they don't have a runtime yet.
All that really means is that it might end up being 2 hours and 4 minutes, 2 hours and 1 minute. It's going to be in that neighborhood.
In that range. It's not like it's adding 20 more minutes of effects. So.
Yeah. So apparently, according to the report that was out there, that the distributors have been basically notified, roughly this is what you're looking at. And if it comes in plus or minus 3 or 4 extra minutes, I mean, that's James Gunn's not thinking about adding in a 12-minute scene.
Yeah.
At this point, they know roughly what they've got. All right, we got a few minutes left here. Let's take a couple from our channel members.
We got Alan. Happy Wednesday, Campea Crew. Just watched Lilo and Stitch yesterday. I didn't hate it, but didn't love it. I liked how we got to know Nani more, and Stitch and Lilo were fantastic. Wasn't a movie I would watch again.
I feel almost the exact same way. Like to me, it was, we talked about this. It's a tale of two movies, right? There's Lilo and Stitch, which every moment with them to me was awesome and lovable and delightful and charming and all of it. Then there was everything in the movie that wasn't Lilo and Stitch. And I found all that pretty flat. Overall, the movie's called Lilo and Stitch, and overall I enjoyed it. I had a good time watching it. Yeah. But I probably won't be going back to watch it again unless like one of my nieces or nephews comes down for a visit and they want me to take them to a movie. But I know I know you quite liked it. You liked it more than I did.
I thought it was really charming. Oh, did you not know this, right?
No. Just because I've been reading reviews on Lilo and Stitch, and it's half-half.
Oh,
a lot of people are like, oh, they did this to like some of their characters, made them humans. This and that. So there's a big debate going on. I
really liked it, and kind of like you, it's hey, if any of my friends' kids want to go again, I'll be the person who takes them, and I'll let mom and dad have like a night off, right? I thought it was just so charming, and I really liked it. And I think you weren't here to talk to us about this, right? I think a lot of the reasons why people are split on this is because of the updated, and this is a spoiler, updated ending of having Nani want to go to college, want to have her own hopes and dreams. And again, in a real world situation, I think it's kind of cruel.
It was the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. I think it's ridiculous to ask she's supposed to be maybe 21 in this movie.
Yeah.
To be able to take care of her sister like it's her own child, pay all their bills, which they clearly are not capable of doing. She's been offered a full ride scholarship to be a marine biologist.
Which, by the way, would better all their lives.
Which would better all their lives. Exactly. Yeah. Because this popped up in the chat too of like, I can't believe that Disney would make the message of being like a ward of the state.
She should have stayed.
That's not the message.
She should have stayed destitute.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the people who are saying these things are the people who also didn't go see the movie. There's this weird online campaign happening right now.
Yeah. By the way, it's not. By the way, it's not split. It's not split at all. Yeah. Bring this up. Again, verified viewers, 93%.
93.
That's not split.
Yeah.
That's not split. Everybody loves it. It's just a lot of people the people who are complaining are complaining loud.
Here's the ultimate question. Since I've never seen the original. So
you're so lucky.
If you had a choice and you had to suggest one, which one would it be? There's the
animated one.
Animated.
The animated one. So animated ones.
Yeah.
Just okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you'll also think the live action kid is just so precious.
Yeah, okay.
You'd want to adopt her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
We got Dominic who says, Mr. Milchek got the biggest pop in my Final Reckoning screening. Loved his character and that whole sub crew. Would honestly watch a spinoff about that team.
His character was great. It really was. Anne got so excited when she said, because Milchek, especially in season 2 of Severance, was a real standout. And his character is really good in it. And I agree. When he pops on screen, like Anne got all excited. And by the way, he also mentioned in an interview that the reason he got the role is because Christopher McQuarrie loves Severance.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to put him in there.
Man.
All right, what's next?
Sorry, we got let me scroll on. Bajan Samurai says, with Ewan McGregor getting closer to Guinness's age during A New Hope, Andor being a hit, and Lucasfilm being forever fixed in the Skywalker story, do you think it's likely we get a story from Obi-Wan's point of view during the OG trilogy event?
No, and nobody wants it. It's a dumb idea. Nobody would watch it. It's pointless. It's useless, and it'd just be a ghost watching the events.
It would be that movie again, but from his perspective.
As a ghost? No. It's time to move on, guys. Please stop encouraging Star Wars to keep making the same fucking stories in the same fucking 5-year span. Move on. Let's move on. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Mr. Black Bono says, why Amazon would not put Voltron in theaters instead of streaming. To me, it will be great for the big screen in IMAX too.
Stupid. It's totally stupid on their part. Like
I don't understand
I'm sorry. Like this is a movie you should have on the big screen.
I don't understand it.
Absolutely.
And listen, it doesn't take away from their commitment to theatrical. We were just at CinemaCon where they gave us this huge, long list of these films they're bringing to theaters, and that's great. but I could think of about 5 or 6 of them that they had, and they all looked wonderful. But like 5 or 6 of them on their slate that you could, if you wanted to put something on streaming, put one of those. You put Voltron on the big screen. I just don't understand their thinking behind this. They're totally stupid. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Jai CSC says, no idea if this is true, but apparently in a cinema, the speakers and sound require more power to run than the projectors. If that's true, it's fast. That's absolutely true. Those amps take a lot of power to push that air.
That
through
much?
all of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with modern projection.
Yeah.
It's
Because they use
far
LED.
more power efficient.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard that. Now I'm not an audio expert, but I have heard that same thing.
It is
takes a lot
the
more
amount of power for the amplifiers they need to power those speakers. I used to work. It was like I worked in budget supervision for Harman Kardon and JBL, but their JBL theater labs were on the same facility. Trust me, it takes a lot of power to run those speakers. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
We got unofficial something or other. Chances of Supergirl moving to the May date previously occupied by Avengers Doomsday.
It's possible. It's tricky to move up your dates though. Because once you got your dates, then you've got your scheduling and you know when you want to have everything in certain place and whatever. When is Supergirl currently scheduled to come out?
Ooh, let me check.
Is it July? If it's July of 2026, then I think it's not.
June.
Okay, I was going to say, if it's June, it's not as unlikely because that's not that big of a move. I still think they'll keep it where it is, but it's not, I'll say 15% chance. Chris, what do you think the chances of Supergirl moving into that May date?
Ooh. I feel like somewhere's where it's at. I'd go really low, like a 10 or 12% kind of situation.
All right, what's next?
We got Nobody Wins. Do you have a go-to snack, food, and drink order while seeing movies? I
always the same
ebb and
thing.
flow with it, but
For me, it's always the same thing. What
I
about
mean,
you?
mine's irresponsible because I go see movies near a Regal, and so I can go to Trader Joe's and I can get one of those pre-made cocktails for $5.99.
Oh, dear.
Sneak that.
And then I can bring my little pomegranate seeds or my mango chilies in my purse, and then I have a great time.
Me, it's the same thing. It's popcorn and soda. And popcorn, of course, is a butter delivery device. So what I do is I can do it depending on the time. I've got one of two systems that I use. Number one is my patent pending straw technique, which I've seen several people on YouTube now copy since I announced it. But I like my popcorn soaked in butter. Butter is my favorite food. So what I do is I take a straw, put it on the end of the butter disposal distributor, and I put it near the bottom of the popcorn bucket. And then what I do is I just start to lower the bucket so the straw is moving up and popcorn becomes evenly distributed. If I'm running out of time, though, I don't want to take the slow, methodical way of doing that. What I do is when I get my popcorn, I ask for a separate box,
I always get that.
right? Then what I do is I pour a bunch of the popcorn, most of the popcorn, into that box and butter what's still in my popcorn bucket. Then I add some of the popcorn back, butter it again, add more of it back, butter it again, and then finally put the final piece on top, butter it again, then shake the bucket and butter it some more. That is now, Anne loves her chocolate covered almonds. That's a big thing for Anne. Anne always gets the chocolate covered almonds. So I will have the buttery popcorn with a large Coke Zero and then some chocolate on it.
I do like what AMC's done with their cinema sweets, those chocolate covered almonds and the chocolate covered raisins.
They're
and all
good.
that. Yeah.
They're good. At least the almond. I don't eat raisins, so I wouldn't know. But the chocolate covered almonds ones are really quite good.
The
You
pretzels,
don't eat
the
raisins?
the cinnamon.
I don't like raisins.
the pretzel one.
Love grapes, but I don't like raisins.
Yeah, the pretzel one's really good too.
Pretty ageist.
Veggie ages. All right, last question of the day.
Veggie ages.
Last question. What's next?
Yuletan, do you think Liam Neeson could be considered the modern day Charles Bronson with roles in Taken, The Grey, Cold Pursuit? He's carved out a niche as a stoic, older action star with a vengeance streak, kind of like Bronson in Death Wish or The Mechanic. What's your take?
No,
Hey,
he's
scumbag.
a bigger star than Charles Bronson. I mean, like 20 years from now, when you go over the all-time list, Liam Neeson's higher than Charles Bronson. Again, that's not taking anything away from the icon, but I mean, Liam Neeson, because Liam Neeson also did magnificent film outside of that, whether you're talking about Rob Roy or many of his other projects, of the Steven Spielberg Schindler's List.
Naked Gun.
He is so much bigger than that. So no, I would not say to call Liam Neeson the new Charles Bronson is completely underestimating what Liam Neeson
I
is.
think had Liam Neeson really just like that was his entrance into cinema, and that's where he's kind
He
of
had only
stayed
done
for a
that?
long time.
Yeah.
That's definitely a large chapter in his life, but you're right. He's just so much
Yeah.
more. So
Well,
yeah.
I think it's just because Death Wish and Taken are so kind of intrinsically tied.
yeah.
Same kind of thing.
And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Big thank you as always to Robert Meyer Burnett, who isn't here anymore, and thanks to Ray Ora,
I see, guys.
Jonathan Voico,
See you guys.
Chris Carr.
Bye, guys. I'll miss you.
By the way, if people are interested in getting into the voice acting industry, stuff like that, you have a way of helping them. What
I
is that?
sure heckin' do, John. All right. So on Monday, actually, I have a commercial intensive happening. That's going to be 4 weeks of doing commercial voiceovers with me. But you can go to speakfriendstudio.com and you can sign up on there to do one-on-one classes with me or with my husband, Logan, who does dialects. We teach you how to do voiceovers. We teach you how to do British accents, all kinds of stuff. We do demos. Look us up and come hang out with us.
And of course, big thank you to all of you guys for being here. And we know there's a lot of different things you could be doing. We're super grateful that you decided to spend some time with us. We'll see you again tomorrow. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.